right, welcome back to today's Silent Time Daydream, and let's get started. I have to remember everything again. It's been a few days since my confidence as an artist was absolutely crushed. Well, I'm still not happy with how things turned out. I have come to realize that Yanagi's design might have some advantages over mine. And what kind of advantages are those, man? After much discussion, we decided on the design of Izumo's auxiliary unit, and I had to reorganize its internal structure accordingly to make it work. I printed out the exterior, then put in the base for the lab's virtual simulator as well as the communication devices. Okay, Izumo, scan your auxiliary unit.
一件の接続対象が見つかりました。
Can you connect to it?
接続しました。
Cool. It makes the sound just like I hoped it would. The nature of the sound is a deliberate choice on my part. I can't wait for Yanagi to hear it.
ただいまー、いつも。カイト？
Oh, tadaima. Okaeri nasai.
カイトが先に家にいるなんて珍しいね。
I've been working here since noon.
家で？何の？
This. I move one step to the right, revealing Izumo and... Oh, the main menu just started playing. The main menu music. I was like, what? Oh, that's some Kino shit there. I mean, it's like fighting Radagon, and then the Elden Ring main menu music started playing. Anyway, Yunagi's eyes glimmer when she catches sight of the floating auxiliary unit.
すごい、できたの？
Yeah. Everything inside of it is pretty much stuff I reused from elsewhere. Asuma Hakase said I could use it all.
喋った。
Not its most useful feature, I admit. I say, the corners of my mouth rising into a shy little smile. But I think it's a meaningful feature for the both of us. Maybe.
私とカイトに？これって。
Can you tell what sound that is?
あの鳥？中層の壁の中で見つけた。
Bingo. I found the chirps of the same kind of bird in the sound database, so I incorporated them into it. I set the chirp every time it finishes processing something.
カイト、名前つけてあげよう。
A name. She smiles and nods.
この子の名前。名前つけてあげればよかったね。鳥さんじゃなくてさ。何か名前考えてあげればよかったな。
Yeah, you're right. Yunagi beams at me and nods.
名前はカイトがつけてあげてよ。
Me? What? You designed it. She nods again.
だからだよ。私がデザインしてカイトが名前をつけたらなんか二人の子供みたいに可愛がれるじゃん。
Our baby? Of course, I consider the possibility we might have a child someday. Our child. If that time ever comes, I want it to be when we're living happily in the middle side.
何かアイデアある？
Well, yeah. When I tried designing it, I was thinking of the dreamscape, a sheep and a dreams. That's why I went with the sheep motive.
デザインそうなのね。
Real sheep have wool, and resting your head on wool helps sheep
なる
sleep.
ほど。ビープ？なるほど。ビープ？
I shake my head. No, we call him Riku.
リープ
I nod.
リープじゃダメなの？
Of course. We don't call Izumo it, do we? Besides, it's cuter that way.
そうなの？
I nod enthusiastically. I call you Likun. Are you okay with that, Izumo?
命名者の意思ならまあいっか。よろしくねリープくん。今日から家族だよ。
Perhaps I was wrong to think of it as a meaningless feature. Strangely not. Simply hearing that little noise coming back in response is enough to make me feel a sense of attachment toward the robot. Okay now. Let's make sure Likun is functioning correctly. Her eyes light up as she realizes what I meant by that.
カイトも喋れるようになるの？
Maybe, if all goes according to plan.
すごいすごい。やってみよう。その前に
Yonagi and I turn to Izumo.
ポリッジを作ります。
She declares before walking over to the kitchen. Likun lets out a sonorous chirp before chasing after Izumo.
いつもも気に入ってそうだね。
I hope she is. And then, after dinner, we go into the dreamscape.
カイト。
A voice spreads throughout the dreamscape. Can you hear me?
聞こえる。聞こえるよカイト。すごい。カイトが喋ってる。
Finally! I finally found a way. I've studied for so long in order to make this happen.
すごいすごい。カイトが喋ってる。
Now, we need to make sure scent and sound behave as they should in this space. But before that, Yonagi. She looks up at me, waiting for the words. Let's go see Mom. We go to our house within the dreamscape. When we arrive, Mom's in her bed. Then she slowly turns towards us. Just like she always did. I glance at Yonagi. She returns my gaze and smiles. Her support encourages me, and I approach the bed. Mom, it feels surreal to finally be hearing my own voice in this space. Mom slowly turns her face up to me. She's wearing that same gentle smile she always had for us.
カイト、ヨナギちゃん。
Her voice stuns me for a brief moment. Ka-san. Yonagi and I. We're doing well. We're living together now.
イズモとリープくんもいる。
Mom's smile widens as she looks up at us.
そう。よかった。
We come face to face for the first time in years. We exchange words. My conviction that this technology will save mankind only grows stronger. Using this, everyone in the city will be able to experience life on the surface with their loved ones. Reality is what we make of it. And this is reality. There will be no low-siders, no mid-siders, no top-siders. Everyone will be the same under the light of the sun, free from discrimination or hate. This feeling, everything up to this point, all those years reading and imagining a better life, all the theorizing and testing, everything up to this day has finally come together to make it possible. Is this swelling emotion within my chest what accomplishment feels like? A sudden warmth spread across my body. I can feel it, without a shadow of a doubt. And this is?
グローブ座。シェイクスピアってこういう劇場に所属してたんだって。
I see. I see your research on Shakespeare for her next novel is going well. I approach her and bring my face closer to Olivia. The scent of rose tickles my nose as I breathe in.
いい匂いでしょ。バラよ。
It's captivating.
流すんじゃない。
I take a few steps back. The scent of roses weakens accordingly. And there's nothing strange about the way the scent disperses. This is a big breakthrough. We were able to reproduce the dispersion of scent particles according to the laws of physics. Everything's going as I theorized so far. I thought we might experience a delay due to the processing calculations, but there's been no lag I can detect.
カイト、どう？
Her voice sounds as it should at this distance. It seems fine. I believe it's going well.
あ
This dreamscape has both Yunagi and my thoughts in it, so I come to call it a compound dreamscape. It's no longer a world shaped after Yonagi's cognition and thoughts alone. While she is the one building this world, the data is set and managed by Leap-kun. Yonagi and I are participants in this dream, and we communicate with each other and the world through Leap-kun. Yonagi definitely created the world itself on her own, but now it's being shared in equal measure to all participants connected to Leap-kun. If I were to draw a conceptual diagram, the only difference now is that Leap-kun is acting as a middleman between us, but it changes quite a lot. The biggest change of them all is the fact that Leap-kun is accumulating the raw data of the world Yunagi is building up. If we develop the data from her dreamscape even further, maybe it could help to solve the problems that Hakase's lab is facing right now. This is a big step forward. Maybe we could produce something that the Hakase was never able to.
おー
Izumo, project the data from that session onto the monitor.
モニタリングします。
Izumo broadcasts her data to the terminal in my hand. It's a record of our sensory information while in the dreamscape. Leap-kun is equipped with a sensory feedback manipulation app provided by the Hakase, and is able to transfer data back to Izumo. The information displayed shows staggering amount of detailed information compared to biomonitoring function that Izumo is equipped with. It's amazing. We can see exactly which actions stimulate which parts of the brain. It's literally all here.
進みそう？
Yeah, at the very least, it's a huge step in the right direction. I learned several things from analyzing the data about both Yunagi's dreamscape and the professor's virtual space. There's only one difference between the experience of the participants: the stimulus of the sense of smell. And yet, parts of the brain being simulated are completely different in both. While I'm into Yunagi's dreamscape, it's not only my thalamus being stimulated, but every single part of my limbic system. Moreover, which parts of it are reacting varies wildly depending on the situation. To put it simply, while the motor commands produced by the brain are not being transmitted to the muscles through the brainstem, the brain still behaves as if the body were actually moving in reality. But at the same time, those neurological reactions change depending on the person's psychological state. For example, the parts of my brain reacting were different when I was in theater, facing Yonagi, or making sure the sense worked as intended. The curiousness of exploring the unfamiliar place, talking and reacting to what I see, all these stimulate different areas of the brain. This means that the state of mind and cognition of each participant will become the parameters needed for the construction of the dreamscape. Which means... Does this mean we had to separately tune the stimulus signals that the dreamscape sends to each brain, depending on the person? That can't be. It would take several lifetimes to do such a thing on a large scale. The more participants are added into the mix, communication between them will also occur. Not to mention state of semi-communication, in which a person reaches towards another and waits for an answer. The depth of human interaction is not a mere binary concept, it's something that's always in flux. Every action makes the brain react in a certain way, and not everyone reacts to the same stimuli the same way. It's a whole different piece.
何かまずい感じ？
Your dreamscape and the professor and Hakase's virtual space are very similar, but now I understand that they're completely different on the inside.
別物？
Your dreamscape is 1,000 of times more complicated. At the very least, I can't even tell how many brain process patterns there are, or how they all relate to each other just yet.
私の方が複雑なんだ。やった？
Well, that's one way to interpret that. Well, that's actually the only way I want to interpret that. I shake my head. I don't think we should be happy about it. That means it's impossible to build the lab vision of a virtual space, at least for the time being.
そんなに違うの？
I nod. My eyes still scanning the information feed on a monitor.
どうするの？何か私にできることある？
Of course, it can help a lot. Since we're dealing with this degree of complexity, we had no choice but to gather statistical data and emulate it. We'll accumulate the sensory data of our brains by experiencing a variety of places, experiences, and situations in the dreamscape. Okay, I'm starting to understand why we had to go through 3 whole cases. Okay, I kind of get it. I kind of get what they were going for. Why we really had to go through like 3 cases, because this is the exact same problem he was trying to worry about. And I asked how that relates to Yonagi. I have an inkling of an idea what they were trying to do with Yonagi at those 3 cases, as each more case kind of helps build a much more realistic depiction of something, but I think we're kind of close to solving the mystery. But the idea that they need to experience a variety of places, experiences, situations, well, that's essentially what the 3 cases are. Alright, let's continue. Once we have enough data, we can generate brain reaction signals based on statistical predictions. Oh, okay. Oh. Were they simulating? Were they creating a prediction of a kind of Yonagi? What? What? Okay, let's go through the story. We kind of got an idea that that's what happened to Yonagi, because as we went through more cases, Yonagi started to be a bit more expressive and a bit more capable of cognition and behavior that's more closer to like a person, like we're the actual person than like the how whatever state she was in the beginning of the story. Anyway, let's continue for now. To put it simply, we'll need to collect enough data between the 2 of us to produce a Yonagi emulator, if you will. Okay, they literally say it out. They essentially created a Yonagi emulator. But instead of putting that into a machine or something like that, they re-emulate Yonagi. But why? Okay, that's the other mystery we want to figure out, why we needed to recreate the whole process of having a Yonagi emulator. Anyway. I'm just making a machine imitate the processes of your brain. Process your brain performs while building the space. So the goal will be to experience as many kinds of spaces, sounds, and emotions as possible in the dreamscape. Actually, this does kind of remind me of what we do in machine learning. It's been a while since I've touched that stuff, but like that's exactly what we do. So the whole case process thing, they're generating data of the brain, and essentially using those data, they essentially train a model. Exactly as what Kaito said. They essentially create an emulator of sorts. They essentially create a Yonagi emulator. So, in the most basic levels of machine learning, or like even statistical models, like he did mention about statistical stuff, like you're generating data and all that shit. And then you create. Yeah. He's essentially creating a statistical model slash. Yeah, okay, I got it. It's so funny. I could finally use some of the stuff I learned in school and this be it. Well, it's very basic stuff, man. It's something you could just pick up watching a YouTube tutorial. Anyway. And there are tons and tons and tons and tons of like layman's terms versions of how to understand those models, how they work and all. So you don't need to understand them too deeply, but essentially they're just a lot of the models that we run in things are just attempts to generalize what they learn from the data. Anyway, let's continue. We'll talk about different things, go to different places. The more variation we can produce, the better. Same goes for emotions. Wait, I want to screen cap this. This is where my post. This actually got me interested because I actually know what the hell's going on.
つまり私は可能な限りいろんなシチュエーションとキャラクターをカイトに見せて感情を揺さぶればいいってこと？
That's one way to put it, yeah. Her eyes widen and start to glitter as an impish smile plays about her lips.
私の得意分野じゃん。いっぱいあるよお話。今からやろう。もももすまももももなうち。
Now that's a tongue twister if I ever heard one, man. Whoa. Long time no see, Sumomo.
久しぶりだね、カンナくん。
I can't help but smile at the nostalgic side. We're in Momomochi Sumomo and Amikana's summer love story. It's from the time when Yonagi and I started living together. It's the first story she ever completed back when we were kids. Alright. This was the story where they went out to look for the place and his mom's photo, right?
そうそう。青い鳥みたいなお話を作ってみたかったんだよね。
I noticed something new about Sumomo and chuckled to myself. Isn't it a bit much?
何が？
I recognized the smell from the batch of printed samples I showed her the other day. That sweet scent of speeches, right?
桃の匂いする？私から？
That's a little on the nose.
ああ、失礼。協力してやらんぞ。
Sorry, my
ほん
bad.
でどうすんの？散歩でもする？
Yeah, we can walk around.
こんな風に普通に過ごすだけでいいの？
It's enough. You're creating worlds indistinguishable from reality with nothing but your own mind. This is more remarkable enough, I'm sure. If we can reproduce this with a machine, I'm not exaggerating when I say that it will save humankind.
カイトがそれを作れたら有名人だね。
You too.
私の名前は出さないでよ。いいよ、カイトが思いついたことにしてくれて。
Yeah, but it's gonna be hard to explain where the fuck the data came from, right? But I'm pretty sure the story is gonna go to that level. Because there's no way he could be like, so suddenly I was experimenting and then I figured out how to just randomly generate data to create this. Of course they'll try to bring in Yanagi. And I have a feeling the process of bringing in Yonagi that caused her to be what it's the thing that caused her to be in whatever state she is at the beginning of the story.
でも、ほんと嬉しいな。ここでカイトと話ができて。
Huh? Don't we talk all the time?
そうだけど、スモモの相手のカンナ君だって、オリビアの相手のウィルだって、みんなモデルはカイトなんだよ。
You know, I had this Kino moment. Remember how in Shakespeare's story, when he tries to write, my brain is dying. It's funny, my brain lit up and now I forgot like the name of like the fucking story he wrote. I mean, what Shakespeare's story? Hamlet. Okay, sorry, my brain. I cannot believe. Well, I guess my brain doesn't line up when I try to recall Hamlet, but like my brain lights up when I think about the more technical stuff they were talking about. I was like, okay, okay. When Shakespeare was writing Hamlet, he was trying to put his emotions. Was trying to write down his feeling when Ed got like caught and all the stuff that happened, and wanting to extract revenge, and he channeled all that frustration and anger to his writing. So this kind of feels like this kind of feels like it. Oh really?
全部じゃないけどね。やっぱ親しい人と似ちゃうよね。作るキャラクターって。
We keep walking along to the airport fence. Each step is punctuated by the sound of crushing gravel beneath our feet. I look up at the blue sky, feeling the occasional soft, warm caress of the wind against my face.
ねえねえ、次はまたイギリスにしていい？あのね、超いいこと思いついたの。
By the way, I'm guessing Case Zero is. Yeah, I'm guessing Case Zero. I mean Case One. I mean, right? I'm guessing Case One is the last novel they wrote. That would explain why it's way more developed. Oh, I actually like that when I try to think about it, how even the level of quality of the writing gets better. No, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. Was it coincidence that I start out with Case 3, then I go to Case 2, then I go to Case 1? I mean, with the prologue stuff, like the prologue stories. That's interesting.
ロミオとジュリエット、知ってるでしょ、カイト。
You've been telling me that story ever since we were kids, so it'll be hard not to. The tragic story of two youths from families embroiled in a generational feud who fall in love but ultimately die for it. Ever since you first told me about it, I always wondered if there could have been a better ending for them.
その世界一有名な話をね、シェイクスピアが書くまでのお話を作ってみようと思って。面白そうでしょ。
It does sound interesting, but it also sounds like something that's been made 1,000 times before.
それだけ魅力的なテーマってことだよ。ねえ、知ってる？オリビアってね、シェイクスピアが考えた名前なんだよ。
Oh, really?
そう。
時を超えて人を魅了する。そんな物語を紡いだシェイクスピアが考え出した名前。それがオリビア。私にぴったりの名前でしょ。私は世界で初めての女優なのよ。
Right. Women couldn't act back then, yeah?
そういうこと。こんな感じにポンポンキャラ変えてもいいの？
Not at all. It doesn't even have to be Chiba in 2060 or England in the 16th century. Show me anything you want. Keep going. Show me something that'll jolt my brain good.
望むところよ。
You have more characters than Sumomo and Olivia, right?
いっぱいいるよ。女探偵のレベッカでしょ。それに剛腕女ハッカーはるか元宮っていうお話もある。
Super Haka. Those don't sound very interesting. It would be funny if this is Laplace and being like, you know, we had these ideas back then and we then end up writing them, so it's either that or it's like, you know, we're building this other story. I want you guys to get excited about like the stuff we're gonna be writing in the future. Okay, we already read. Java Sparrow? Species of bird of the order, I don't know how to pronounce that. It was kept as a pet during the service era. It has a unique cry reminiscent of a machine. Olfactory receptor. A molecular sensor that assists our sense of smell. Humans possess about 400 types of molecular receptors in our nasal cavities, and the combination of reactions from these receptors is what helps us distinguish different odors. The secretions created in the nasal cavity have two purposes: to aid in the task of transporting molecules to the receptors and to protect the receptor from otherwise harmful substances. The workings of life are mysterious indeed. Oh, they actually even made like entries for these. You need directional thought space. The state in which Yonagi shares an image with another person. The image is real enough that the participants feel as though they're actually in the space, but they cannot interact with it. The thought space is unidirectional because the information sharing is one way, for Yonagi to the subject, bidirectional. A hypothetical space created by multiple people with image sharing capability. In such a space, all participants would be able to affect what other participants were experiencing. However, this would require participants to have image sharing capability, and any without the ability would be unable to participate. Thus, it is impractical as a means of escaping underground. Integrated thought space. So this is their evolution. A virtual space created by integrating mental images of all participants. This is the ideal that Asuma and Kaito are working towards. A place where everyone's mind is capable of interacting with the minds around those around them. So how the world embodies God. Another way to describe the integrated thought space. In an integrated thought space where mutual interaction is occurring between the minds of all participants, any image universally shared by the participants would find itself willed into existence. This is, however, only theoretical, and the only example of such a universal image would be the concept of God. Leapkun. An auxiliary terminal created to assist Izuma. It was developed to improve the processing capability of Izuma's damaged OS and to help Yonagi in the creation of an integrated dreamscape, since she can only share her images with something she has emotional attachment to. Whenever it completes a task, it plays a simple cry of a Java sparrow, designed by Yonagi and named by Kaito. Apex Species. The name of the theme song that plays when Kaito presents his preliminary auxiliary terminal design. The theme song? Okay. Stimulus signals. Signals that are transmitted to the brain. When the human body receives external stimuli, they are converted to sensory signals in the spinal cord and sent up to the brain. The core idea of Kaito and Asuma's research is to create a fake virtual space that uses these signals to trick the brain into thinking it is actually interacting with the real world. In the story, these simulated sensory signals are called stimulus signals. Simulator. A device that imitates specific functions and behavior. In the story, this term refers to the software that serves as an alternative to Yonagi's cognitive sharing ability. It also plays an important role in collecting practical data from her dreamscape and elucidating the real nature of her powers. Okay, here we go. Female Detective Rebecca. A character created by Yonagi, donning a deer stalker cap. She waits for the clients as she smokes her trusty pipe. Loves to say things like, I knew that was coming, and I see it now, without ever actually solving any cases. Probably a lot of fun to write, but less than pleasurable experience for the reader. I guess that's very annoying. Haruka Motomiya. A character created by Yonagi, around the same time she created Rebecca. A teenage girl with curly hair and a tattered lab coat who secretly fights against an evil organization of crackers. Most scenes involve her typing at her keyboard, and with the majority of the scripted text describing the typing itself. The story has very little dialogue, most of which consists of Haruka saying, I knew this was coming. I see it now, and crack this. Despite these one-liners, however, she never actually makes any progress in their battle against her online foe. Probably a lot of fun to write, but a less than pleasurable experience for the reader. I guess those are like ideas that they kind of abandoned. Anyway, whatever. Those don't sound very interesting, but she's really pumped up about that, so I'll go along with it. I was writing code for the basic emulator all night yesterday, using the data produced by me and Yonagi as a sample. I'm correcting any issues in the simulation with statistical processing. Thankfully, my memory comes in handy once more. I find and assess each difference between the virtual space and Yonagi's composite dreamscape, and attempt to close the gap with programming. It's only because of my perfect memory that I'm able to contrast what the feed shows me and the discrepancies in the visual and auditory feedback that I experience in the dreamscape. But no matter how good my memory is, I still only have as many hours in the day as anyone else. Needless to say, my sleep schedule is in shambles.
Yo!
I turn around at the sound of a familiar voice. Iruma is walking up to me, his expression as jovial as I remember it. Been a while.
元気?
Well, not just a little sleep deprived.
それはいつもじゃん。
He laughs at my expense as he comes next to stand next to me and leans on the railing to overlook the city.
俺さ、
Hmm?
今日から研究員だって。
For a moment, the news casts a dark shadow over me. I couldn't return the words. So, Iruma's already a researcher while I haven't achieved anything in Professor Asuma's lab. Well, you know, that's the kind of situation they are. Wait, I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. That's amazing. Congrats.
いや、別に大したことしてないのよ。っていうか、やってることは助手以下？研究の全体像もわかんないまま、毎日指示された薬剤を測って小分けにしてるだけ。なのに研究員だってさ、もう。
They're doing important work over Kano's lab, and you're part of that. Wait, I just noticed that the spelling of Kano changed. Why did I don't know why? Like now it has a letter U. Oh man, the QA man.
でも全然楽しくない。これだったら小さくても即戦力になれる研究室にしときゃよかった。
The grass is always green on the other side, huh?
カイト君の方はどう？楽しい？アスマ研。
I think so. Right now, we're researching something that would overhaul the whole approach his lab has taken towards its research so far. I suppose it is, but to be honest, I only look over the middle side cityscape. I'm still a low-sider. I'm happy to hear that you finally became a researcher. I mean, you were a mid-sider anyways, but you know what I mean.
何言ってんだよ。俺なんかより絶対カイト君のが優秀だよ。そんなのみんなわかってるよ。
I don't think so. You get along with everyone, and I can't brighten up the mood like you can. Not in a thousand years. I think big laboratories need people like you. Kano's lab is like a big family, right? I'm sure they appreciate someone who can talk to people.
そう思うなら、カイト君が俺のこと引き抜いてくれよ。
I turned to face Iruma, and I met with his placid smile. I realized immediately he's not trying to mess with me.
焦んなくたってカイト君はさ、絶対自分の研究室を持つようになるんだから。
You really think so?
だってカイト君、工科コースにいた時から一人だけ雰囲気違ったもん。こういう人が何か面白い研究テーマ見つけて、自分の名前の研究室持つんだろうなって。俺、その日に自分の生き方変えようと思ったけどね。
I never knew. Is that what you were thinking?
ま、適材適所よ。頑張ってよ、カイト君。俺の分まで。それで、カイト犬ができるときは、絶対最初に誘ってね。ほんで、いろんな研究室から優秀な人材、スカウトしてあげるよ。
Okay, this is a very interesting, this is a very interesting arrangement.
人間的にできたやつね。
It's good to know someone has my back. All right. If I ever get my own lab, I'll ask you to become my second in command.
やったね。忘れんなよ。
My memory is the only thing I have going for me. I promise I won't forget. We look up at the lens above us. The sun is still high in the sky.
じゃあ、今日も薬剤測りに行くか。
And time for me to bang my head against the wall a few times. I'll use this jealousy over seeing my peers climb up the ladder to see if I can get some work done.
カイト君に火がつくなら研究員になった甲斐があったわ。
疲れているな、カイト。
Towards evening, Asuma Hakase suddenly appears in the lab as I'm resting my elbow on the table and my head in my hand. Oops, I was on the verge of falling asleep. Sorry, I was up late last night. He nods, his smile showing understanding. Were you giving a lecture today? He shakes his head.
研究室長の定例会だよ。四半期に一度、研究所全体の近況を把握するための会議だ。
There's nothing for our lab to report yet. I have no idea how big of a meeting it was, but just imagining how he must have felt makes my chest twinge painfully. We can't continue like this. If we don't get results soon, the lab will slowly die off. Just a little more. If I can improve the emulator, I'll be able to show it to him.
カイトは最近忙しそうだね。何か作っているんだろう。
Yes, I'm making a prototype to test a hypothesis I have. I'm exploring a method that doesn't involve manipulating the thalamus. Basically, I'm trying to verify if we could create a virtual space in a different way to what we're doing now. But it's still just a hypothesis, so I'll wait until I have something concrete to show.
楽しみだな。
The professor says before pacing over to the brewing machine to serve us 2 cups of coffee. He doesn't seem exhausted or impatient. Guess it goes to show how different I still am from a seasoned career researcher. I'll show that I can produce greater results than any of the others who started working in the other labs. Research is a long-term affair. There's no need to rush. Or so I tell myself. But I can't deny the growing frustration churning in my chest with every passing day.
どうしたんカイト。
It's just... I raise my face from the terminal and give a limp reply.
エミュレーターだっけ。何か問題あったの？
No, it's going well enough. But I guess I'm having trouble. Or rather, I've encountered a problem. In physics, there's something called the n-body problem.
多体問題。
I look up to see Yonagi cocking her head to the side in confusion. Basically, it's impossible to predict the motion of 3 or more bodies that influence each other.
と
Let me give you an example. If you and I were the only people in the world, it would be relatively easy to simulate our state of mind. As members of the opposite gender, we could grow to love one another if that were our inclination, which it is in this case. For example, we would feel calm holding hands or being together. To put it simply, it would be easy to predict how 2 entities interacting with each other would behave.
おう。よくもまあ照れもせずに。
What? What? Yonagi, aren't you guys in a relationship? I mean, I guess she might be used to a person feeling embarrassed to talk about their feelings about like that. But okay. Huh?
いやいや、続けておくなまし。
Well, she looks happy anyway. But if we were to add an acquaintance of us both, like Asuma Hakase, to the mix, our behavior would change again.
確かに。
The simulator I'm making processes the virtual space using the data that comes from measuring the reactions of our brain under various stimuli.
3人以上人がいると人間模様が複雑になっちゃうから2人だけで頑張っても限界があるってこと？
That's the gist of it, pretty much. I don't think complex really covers just how complicated the process becomes with 3 people. Not that I can verify that with the data we can produce at the moment.
じゃあ出雲にも参加してもらえばいいじゃん。
Izumo?
ダメなの？
No, I don't know. Can she? I didn't even consider a non-human participant. But if I'm taking data from Yonagi and she recognizes Izumo as an individual, it shouldn't pose a problem, right? In the future, we'll need to prepare other human participants to collect data, though.
出雲は入れないの？その
I can't say
私の思考空間に。
I can't say I ever thought of the possibility before.
今2人が認識している仮想空間はヨナギの生み出したマスターデータをリープ君が一旦取得。そこにヨナギとカイトのデータをアバターとして配置して脳の認識信号として2人に戻している。リープ君は私の補助端末であり、ルート権限は私が持っている。任意のアバターデータを認識信号に加えてから2人に送信することは可能。
Oh!
つまり一語も理解できなかったんだが。
It means that Izumo can enter the dreamscape, in short. She also says we can create as many participants in the dreamscape as her processing power allows.
一人で何役もってこと？
I not still mulling over the implication of this discovery. Oh, she's literally the NPCs. So she's the NPCs. Okay, got it. Well, we should try and see how it works out. Can you enter the dreamscape now? She gives one short nod for an answer.
じゃあ今日はスモモの世界にしよう。はあ、出雲だ。出雲がいる。
It's amazing. It feels just like the real thing.
いやこのガレージに出雲がいても浮きまくっているんだが。
姿は変えられる。
ほう。じゃあさ。で身長はこんくらい。おっぱいも結構大きくて。そうそう。それであずきさんでしょうがとか言うのね。
Azuki-san. What are you two doing over there?
演出監督として出雲に芝居の意図を伝えている。
Huh.
わかりました。やってみます。
よっしゃ。
あずきさんでしょうが。
Azuki.
もうあずきといえばスクラップハンターでしょうが。
Ah, right. She's from Sumomo's story. There was a female scrap hunter character in it. I still don't quite understand what a scrap hunter is supposed to be, though.
すごい。いつもイメージ通り。すごいすごい。
当たり前でしょうが。できると言ったらできるんだから私は。
By the way, I think Izumo literally has the same BA as Azuki, so it's literally just her switching characters. Is that really Izumo speaking?
他に誰がいるのよ。
Sorry. That's what the woman named Azuki called herself. There's no doubt that this is basically Izumo.
いい感じいい感じ。私はスモモね。それでカイトがカンナくんね。
Huh? Whoa! I jump as I see myself shrink a few centimeters.
その方が都合がいいでしょうが。いろんな状況のデータを取っておくべきでしょうが。統計ってのはそういうものでしょうが。
Point taken.
ねえ、これでどうすればいいわけ？キャンディー、何のデータが欲しいんだよ。
Excuse me?
アメイだから、お前はキャンディーなんだよ。
Me. Yeah, they did. Obviously, they can translate the joke because, you know, I like in English they went with "Look at that little sweet face of yours." It makes it much more sketchy, but like the Japanese is his name is Ame Kana, right? So Ame kind of sounds like Candy. So really,
そうなの？
isn't this one of your ideas, Yanagi?
アドリブでしょうが。
すごいすごい。私はあずき。私のあだ名は。
お前はピーチザビッチ。
Ichi the bitch. I still remember that.
誰がビッチだ。
Huh? We're out?
いつもお主私のことビッチだと思ってたんか？少女ぞ。我少女ぞ。まだ。
Good to know. Good to know, guys.
他意はありません。
Then, how did you come up with that nickname?
あずきのパーソナルデータから使用頻度の高い語彙を予測して、そこからスモモのパーソナルデータに合っているものを。
スモモはキラキラしたお姉さんだけどビッチではないの。いろいろな男の人と経験はあるけどビッチとはちょっと違うの。
Izumo nods back.
分かってくれた？
ビッチはみんなそう言うんだよな。
Still continues with it.
いつも
あずきさんでしょうが。
せめてビッチって呼んでよ。
はいよ、ピーチな。
That's it. This is impressive, Izumo.
謎機能なんだけど。
This is exactly the data I needed. Now, we have data of you two interacting while I observe. I see. If we combine Leaf Kun's physics creation and Izuma's avatar creation function, we can greatly expand the scope of the dreamscape. Let's try building the Yonagi simulator emulator into Leapkun's OS. That way, Izuma can participate as an avatar anytime she wants. If we can emulate you controlling 3 avatars, it should be easy to expand from there.
あずきさんは優秀でしょうが
You don't even know.
ポリッジしか作れないけど優秀なところだってあるでしょうが
気にしてたんだね。
It's okay, Azuki. Your porridge is the best ever. We love eating it every day. For real.
今は出雲じゃなくてあずきさんでしょうが
Like, I really like she really got into character there. She's really into her character.
いつも結構女優だね。そういうタイプだ。
We both glance at Izuma, who has her back to us as she industrially does the usual chores. She's sweeping the floor. Her expression is neutral as it ever been. Never before has her lack of expression seemed more enigmatic than now. But none of us can deny that's just her usual self.
不思議だ。
Yeah, it's kind of weird to find out that your helper android is he feels that way. Well, nah, she's using personality Azuki's personality data, so same here. It's nothing.
そうですか。
Izuma goes back to her task. Leapkun hovers behind her, chirping occasionally.
まさかいつもがあんなに主張してくるとは。
Did it look like she was having fun? Or was it just me? Did she always have a function like that? Maybe the wipeout all those years ago created a bug in her programming.
どっちにしてもさ、
Yonagi looks at Izuma, then turns back to me.
私もっといつものこと好きになっちゃった。
Yeah. I smile and nod back. Me too.
ね。
We got one more. A reader of your novels.
そうだね。
Don't you want lots of people to read what you write?
自分の小説を？
I nod at her. Her mouth turns into a hard line as she considers it for a moment.
あのね、カイトとイズモが読んでくれるのは嬉しいんだけどさ、でも別に他のたくさんの人たちに読んでもらいたいとは思わないかな。もともと人に読ませるために書いてるんじゃないから。
I urge her to go on with my silence.
前にさ、子供の頃、カイトが上層の子におもちゃ壊されちゃったことあったでしょ？
Yeah. She's talking about Shachi, the boy who climbed up the ivy in that small clearing we found and died on top of the ozone lens. That was the last time we saw him.
カイト、あの後しばらく経ってからもあのこと思い出して泣いてたよね。
That wouldn't surprise me.
覚えてるくせに。
She's right. Not that I would readily admit it. Being able to forget is something that helps people. That experience taught me that.
カイトは辛いかもしれないけどさ、でもそんな風に自分が経験した感情を覚えていられるのも素敵だなって私はちょっと思ったんだよね。だからね、私が書く小説は私が経験した気持ちとか感情に直結してる物語なの。
You feel that way about Sumomo's story too?
もちろん出会った時のカイト、私よりずっと年下に思えたし、あとゴミ漁ってるのにも驚いたし、だからスクラップハンターなんでしょうが。
I really like her expression here. It was a joke at my expense?
そうだよ。私が書いてる物語はほとんどカイトとの思い出が元ネタだよ。ママとももっと話してみたかったしさ。
I recall Sumomo's story again. A boy who has lost his mom meets a woman, and they spend the summer together searching for a special place that holds a deep connection to him and his mother. And the same goes for the story about Shakespeare.
そうだよ。 でもきっとこれは私以外の人には理解できないと思うの。私が感じたドキドキとか苛立ちとか、それと同じ感情が湧き立つように私はいつも物語を書いてるの。
Oh shit. Think about how, like, at the end of Sumo's story, she felt the need to leave Kanna because she felt like she needs to work on herself so that she could be someone who could stand beside him. Or think about the story about, like, the whole Shakespeare stuff, and that she felt the need to go away, just for their sakes. Sorry, I got distracted there. I got distracted for a bit. Anyway.
未来の自分のために。
What do you mean? She looks up at me and smiles.
おばあちゃんになった後も若い時の自分の気持ちをありありと思い出せるように。
Oh, I kind of understand what Yonagi's doing here. You know, I kind of stream to do the same thing. I stream or upload stuff. I don't even care about you guys. I just want something to look back on, but, like, you know, something that I can look back and think, man, I was cringe back then, or man, I can't believe that one scene in Summer Pockets made me cry, or actually cry when rewatching a scene in Summer Pockets. I don't know. Whatever. It's just sharing whatever it is. Whatever. I see.
思い出はやっぱり時間とともに汗ていっちゃうけど、その時の感情とつながっている物語だったら何年経っても焦ないの。
Oh, she lost her memories, I guess, and they used the tree stories to reconstruct Yonagi, I guess. Why would Yonagi lose her memories, though? I'm getting a sense this is why there's, yeah, I'm getting a sense that's what's going on. She somehow loses her memories, or to some extent her being, since we're going as far as having a Yonagi emulator. Makes sense.
だからカイトと出雲だけが読んでくれれば十分だよ。私のことを知っていてほしいのは2人だけだからね。
I promise to keep reading them together with you, even when I become a wrinkly old man. I'm sure we'll be living in the middle side by then.
中層に。
I nod. If this emulator works as I intended, it'll become a huge success for Asuma's lab. Then he'll be able to put in a request for me to be a full-time researcher. I'll be a real researcher, which means we'll move to the middle side. She listens attentively, her eyes wide open.
なるほど。
Her voice lowers to a murmur as she slowly lets her gaze wander about the room.
でも私この家好きだけどな。
You know, this kind of actually also makes me wonder. I don't know. There might be some reason. I don't know. There might be something about her. There might be something about Yonagi that's bothering me. And there are a couple of plot threads that were introduced but haven't been closed up yet. So let's see how the story goes.
もちろんカイトの研究がうまくいくように協力はするけどね。
Thanks. I know where she's coming from. This house is full of memories with Mom. But we can't live out memories forever. Cherishing our memories together isn't the same as clinging on to the past. I shake my head to chase the thoughts away. There's no point in worrying about it before I even produce any results. Inuma's a researcher already. I turn my terminal on and start going through the data we got with Izuma today. The next day, Asuma Hakase and I pour ourselves plenty of coffee and discuss theories all day. It's become kind of a routine for us. I use the time to give him a brief progress report on my work. I tell him about some of my findings, like how different parts of the brain are stimulated depending on the nature of the virtual space. He listens to me intently, sometimes interjecting with questions of his own. Before long, we each finish our first cup of coffee. First cup of coffee. All right, it's gonna be a long one, huh?
カイトは
Please.
この研究室に来る前から脳の勉強をしていたんだ。何かきっかけがあったのかい？いや、どう考えても付け焼き場の知識じゃないだろう。
That question takes me back to the first time Yonagi ever took me to the library, and I ended up reading medical books. I suppose it had something to do with my mother's illness.
病気？カイトは両親と暮らしているんじゃないのか？
No, Putin passed away. He raises his eyebrows slightly. If we had been Milsiders, maybe they could have gotten cellular improvements to help their conditions. But we didn't have that option, so I started studying the human body to find a solution.
お母さんはいくつだったんだい？
She passed away when she was 30.
若いね。
I look up at him. I don't know if it's okay to ask, but
年齢かい？今年で72になる。
oh my god, they literally did double their lifespans. Like, this guy is supposed to be 72? What the hell? What the hell? That's what a 72 years old looks like in their future. What the hell? Can I look the same right now when I'm 72? No. We don't have that. We don't have that gene therapy thing they keep talking about yet. Midsiders really do stay young, huh?
人工遺伝子と人工アミノ酸、それとナノマシンを錠剤で飲んでいる。
Nanomachines.
体内チップの情報をもとに今は特定の細胞を狙って任意の人工遺伝子を送り込めるからね。老化は怠惰の証だとも思われている。
All Midsiders do that? He nods in response.
人工遺伝子が普及する前は人の平均寿命は約80年だったらしい。今の半分以下だよ。
80. So, it was shorter than the life expectancy of low-siders today.
地上にいるときは今よりも資源が大量にあった。研究施設も製造設備も今の何千倍という規模だったはずだ。実際人工遺伝子の発明は一つの市場を作り出した。最初は自分の延命のためには金を惜しまない富裕層だけが顧客だったが、最終的には貧困国でも安価で取引されるようになった。
You know, for a split second, I randomly remember that one rich guy who's trying his best to experiment a lot of body modification stuff to essentially make himself younger. I still remember the guy. All I remember from him is like get a lot of sleep, eat some fish oil, also a lot of chocolates, so far at least. And he naturally has some weird ass routine. I don't know. I kind of looked into biohacking back in the day, but nowadays I don't have the. I don't know, man. I'll probably look at it into one of these days, but not right now. But I still eat my daily dose of chocolate without sugar. Without sugar, kind of forced to nowadays. Anyway, so even people like today's low-siders had access to it.
安価なものはナノマシンが入っていないものがほとんどだった。だから生体からのフィードバックは得られず、遺伝子の書き換えが不完全で終わってしまう。それでも多少の延命にはつながった。だから人工遺伝子はごく短期間で世界中に浸透した。今の仮想の人たちが後天的に人工遺伝子を摂取していなくても、その遺伝子には必ず人工的に書き換えられた形跡があるはずだ。
So, our lifespan is longer in general as a result. He nods again.
遺伝子自体を変異させているわけだからね。進化とも言える。人類は自分たちの発明で 自分たちを進化させた初めての種だ。
You know, for a split second, I suddenly remembered that the one of the big issues in Suino Stella, when humanity evolved in such a way that the AIs they created that helps that assists humanity ended up being like they're unable to recognize humans anymore because they evolved genetically enough that they could no longer recognize them, and one faction of the AIs decided that they understand that this is caused by because of the genetic mutations, that they had the whole philia thing go on just so they could reconcile the whole issue about it. That was actually this style was kind of interesting in that all this time you thought the AIs were like malevolent or whatever, but in reality they were kind of indifferent and they were just reacting to external stimuli until the whole philia situation happened. Anyway, sounds like we're paying for our folly sometimes.
その通りだよ。
After that, he gets up from his chair with his mug in hand.
ちょっと休憩しよう。次は私が入れるよ。
Bruh, they keep making coffee. The professor moseys over to the sink, 2 mugs in hand. Thanks. Hello.
おかえりカイト。
Yonagi rushes over to me as I open the door, her smile more radiant than usual. We're not gonna make it, guys. You walk home and your wife greets you like that, man. We're not gonna make it. Just kidding. Anyway, did something good happen?
あのね、出雲にたくさんのキャラクターを覚えてもらったの。
Oh,
もう最高なの。出雲本当に芸達者なの。見たいでしょ？見たいよね。
sure.
食事は後でいいんですか？
いいよ。今日はテンブリッジね。じゃ
And this place
ーん。
is.
ウィリアム・シェイクスピアのお店です。
Oh.
で、店主のジョン・シェイクスピアさんです。
あ、どうも。
Huh? Is that Izumo?
そう。
ポリッジ真面目。酒を飲ませろ。
Is he supposed to be this mercurial?
酒があれば気分も落ち着くんだけどな。
Not a very upstanding man, I suppose.
あとね。
Yonagi excitedly turns to the old man. Well, it's still Izumo, allegedly.
出雲、スペンサーもやって。
Who?
ミーはスペンサーでしょうね。
混ざってる。
ハロー、ボーイ。
I had to remember all the degenerate stuff, man. Again, who?
オリビアを奴隷にしてる悪いやつ。
ポリッジマジうめ。
They share lines?
出雲、貴族はポリッチなんて食べないよ。
ミーはミーのルールで生きている。常識には縛られないんだ。縛ったり縛られたりするのはベッドの上だけだよ。
出
You came up with this?
雲、違うよ。
当時の貴族は盗作的な思考を持っていた人が多いんだよ。セクシャリティに関しては特にね。
Sexuality.
そうなの？
I suppose that's true in every era.
あと、なんで時々英語が混じってるの？
I like how it said here Spanish, but I straight up heard her say ego, so it's like English. It's straight up English.
ミーはいろんなものを立たせるのが大好きなのさ。キャラも立たせたいし、ボーイのボーイを立たせるのも大好きだよ。
Jesus Christ, this degeneracy, man.
出
Is that Izumo speaking right now? Does she like grinding things up?
オリビア一座の役者だよ。
え、いつもが作ったの？
He's pretty cute.
いやでもまずいよ。この世界に女優はオリビアしかいちゃダメなんだから。僕男だよ。ちゃんとついてるよ。
そうなの？
うん。触ってみる？
触らないよ。
じゃあパパが。
イズモ、一人で進めないで。
あ、本当だ。
No, hell break loose.
ミーもついばみたいな小鳥のようにね。
なんなのこの自作自演。
Bro, I'm actually gotta see where this is going.
イズモ、ちょっとなんか下ネタ多くない？
娯楽作品には適度な下ネタが不可欠だったというデータがあります。
今の適度だった？そうは思えなかったけど。ねえカイト、そうだよね。
Huh? But these are characters you made, right?
カイト、今のはイズモが勝手に作ったセリフであって私が考えたんじゃないからね。
Hell's truly loose today.
その一言何なんだよ、腹立つ。
ポリッジを作ります。
この流れでよく作れるな、普通にポリッジを。
I got curious about the other stuff. There's a lot of new stuff in that scene alone. Oh, the M body problem. Bro, it's so long. Let's read it. The problem of predicting how 3 or more objects are going to interact with each other gravitationally. This problem cannot be solved in an analytical manner, as the solution cannot be derived solely from mathematical formulas. It needs to be solved by a computer or high capacity calculator by a numerical approach. To give Okay, yeah, okay, I get what this is. To give an example of analytical versus numerical solutions. Alright. They actually give something like this. Let us imagine flipping a coin and trying to calculate the probability of it landing on heads. An analytical approach would be to say that since the coin has heads and tails, there's a 50% chance for any of those two to land. A numerical approach would be to declare that after 100,000 flips, heads land about 50,000 times, so the probability of heads landing is approximately 1 in 2. As you can see, solving problems numerically involves enormous amounts of calculation, and results obtained are approximate. This is the very same numerical method Kaito used to record his sensory data time and time again to create an emulator that would approximate Yonagi's dreamscape through sheer force of testing and establishing approximation. Oh yeah, I like how they kind of had that whole discussion about wait, I'm clicking on the wrong thing. I'm making a screenshot. Anyway, I like how they talked about this. You're trying to solve something numerically versus like you use some theoretical approach to figure out like the exact to find the value of something. Let me think of another good example for this. Well, there's also like I'm trying to remember something about probability that allows to close the gap between the distance between the distance between the analytical and the numerical solution. There's this concept that if you repeat the problem sufficiently enough times, that you can just say that well, not really. It's more like it's still an approximation, but more or less you could say that they are equal. But in reality, or rather, not equal, they're more of equivalent. But you have to repeat the number of trials. What's the term in that? Anyway, you have to repeat the number of instances so many times that it's very much close to it's very much equivalent to the same value. It's like that phenomena when you keep dividing, where you end up like with 1.999 bar is equivalent to, well, I mean 0.999 bar is equivalent to 1. Oh shit, it's been a while since I thought about math or some shit like that. Yeah, I should really brush up on that on the side. Anyway, let's go continue the visual novel. Artificial amino acids and nanomachines. Nanomachines. Anti-aging supplements taken mainly by topsider and midsider population of the underground. The most common method is to simultaneously inject artificial genes, artificial amino acids, and nanomachines that interact with one's internal biochip. Once inside the body, the nanomachines use the data contained in the biochip to identify the cells that need modifying, then guide the artificial genes and amino acids to those locations. Average life expectancy. The average life expectancy of underground dwellers is about 163 years for both top and mid-siders. For low-siders, it's 110. Please wait. Don't ask such question. The walls have ears, and we don't know who may be listening. all hell broke loose. At Tableau, Kaito, watching a calm Izumo absolutely demolish a poor and unsuspecting Yonagi inside her own story. That is worth an entry for some reason. Okay. Izumo, before you do that, please send the data from just now.
モニタリングします。
Oh, Yonagi's heart rate skyrocketed back there. This is good data to have. Well done, Izumo. Feel free to deviate from the script if you must.
そのつもりです。
As was my intention.
聞けよ私の話を誰か聞け
I take stock of what my senses pick up as I walk. The faint scent of oil, the high summer humidity on my skin. I can see the dust particles rise when I sit on the sofa. The environment changes in accordance with my actions, and all those little things are picked up by my senses. All of them work perfectly in tandem. This is remarkably good for a prototype. One participant alone should be no problem for it to handle. The real problem comes when we introduce the chain of interactions created by adding more participants. I can't account for so many people with data I currently have access to. That's only natural, and I can't get the data I need without putting this prototype out there. I only have Yonagi and Izumo here, and there's a limit to how much they can do.
自発終了信号を感知しました。
Thanks. The Dreamscape emulator I built for Yonagi's data is being stored as an application in both Leap-kun and Izumo. The simulation no longer needs Yonagi to hold it up when I want to perform tests on my own. Increasing the statistical data samples and checking and adjusting the simulator are different tasks. It's been a month since I was assigned to Asuma's lab. I spent the days discussing work with him and the nights collecting data in the Dreamscape together with Yonagi, Izumo, and Leap-kun. After 2 weeks, we were able to recreate a space capable of reproducing the sense of smell independent of Yonagi. It's still not very accurate though. Wait, I'll be right back. Alright, let's continue. I don't remember if I read this. Still not very accurate though, since the way the world reacts is predicted based on algorithms that use statistics from Yonagi's Dreamscape. There are still a few bugs that make the whole thing freeze and feel like you're experiencing some kind of sleep paralysis. But I'm feeling the progress. I can almost see the goal. Yonagi's sitting across the table working on her novel, showing me the synopsis for it many times while we gather data for the emulator. It's the story of the talented but slightly ignorant Shakespeare and Olivia, an actress who is attracted to his talent. I have a feeling Case 1's story is They probably eventually get to the middle side, but yeah, I think whatever happens in case one is maybe a reflection of what happened since then. Anyway, she's showing me various scenes where Will's big-headed and sometimes painfully unaware ways caused Olivia no end of dismay during the process of them getting to know one another and falling in love. I noticed her reciting lines under her breath as her eyes glide over the pages. She must be muttering the lines of the characters to herself. Yonagi? I'd like to ask you something. She looks up at me. She stares at me curiously, tilting her head ever so slightly. I finished a rough prototype of the Dreamscape emulator. She nods in response and then nods back. The way the space is formed is completely different to all prior research. So, I want to take it to Asuma's lab. I want to show it to Hakase. There's only so much I can do to advance the research by myself. I nod and smile. If we manage to develop it further, someday we might even be able to show it to someone other than him. He listens attentively.
カイトが作ってるものがどれくらい画期的なものなのか、私にはよく分かってないんだけど、私の思考空間から作ったってことを隠しておくことはできるの?
I answer with a firm nod. More than 300 years ago, a man named Einstein happened upon the truth that the speed of light is a universal constant, and he did it inside of a dream. Proof? I dreamt of it. There's tons of people who make a lot of discovery through dreams, so this is an actual thing. Her eyes widen in surprise. He dreamt about becoming light itself, traveling so fast he rode along like a light beam, and he hypothesized that a beam would seem stationary to any observer at the same speed. He was one of the rare geniuses in history that actually valued his sleep, it seems. He valued his sleep. I should value my sleep a lot more, though, too. If this research goes somewhere and becomes a big enough deal that I start getting questions, I'll answer the same. I formed the space by retrieving statistical data from my own dreams. That will suffice as an explanation for all researchers other than the Hakase. She gives a small nod and a relieved smile.
カイトの夢のためだもんね。
How did you prove it? It came to me in a dream.
いいよ。ちょっと怖くはあるけど、カイトは研究員になるために頑張ってきたんだもんね。それをアスマ先生に伝えることで、カイトはまた夢に近づけるんでしょ?
It won't be just me. The whole city. No. All of humankind will get closer to living on the surface. It smiles fondly at me.
分かった。いいよ。
Thank you. I'll make it happen, I promise.
応援してる。その代わり、私の小説も読んでね。
I'll be more than happy to do that. I love your stories.
本当?
I nodded at her. Will's a little too pig-headed for my taste, though.
あれ、カイトがモデルだけどね。オリビアは私。
You're nothing like her?
私の憧れなの。ああいう面だってあるの、私にも。
Am I really as bad as Will?
カイトや。
Yes?
私たち一緒に暮らし始めて何年目だか覚えてるか?
Of course. I remember down to the number of days.
立派。それは立派よ。
What about it?
いや、なんでもない。
I like how he proves her point. He's a huge shy and turns back to her book.
ウィルは奥手すぎてオリビアどころか劇団員全員に呆れられる。そんなシーンを追加しよう。そうしよう。
カイト、これは?
I have Asuma Hakase out a simulator I put together. I copied it onto a portable terminal and brought it with me to the lab.
没入感もあるし、感覚系の反応も網羅されている。
The professor comes out of his little excursion. Absolutely stunned.
君は一体これをどうやって、いや、そもそも脳のどの部位に働きかけているんだ。
That's not an easy thing to explain. There's basically no real pattern to the areas of the brain that are used in any one moment.
規則性がない。つまり、例えばこの空間に入る個体によっても処理が変わるということか。それとも空間内の状況によって処理が変わるということか。
The only thing I can confirm is the latter. Thankfully, there seems to be no difference in how the brain processes the space depending on the person, at least so far. You were able to reproduce my experience from what I built up using my own statistical data, at least.
なるほど。
But there still seems to be some individual variation.
カイト、どうやってこれを作ったんだ。このアプローチは偶然の産物には思えない。何かイデアのような理想的状態があって、それを再現しているように思える。アインシュタインが高速度不変の定理の着想を得たのとはわけが違う。
I like how he brings that up. I like how he brings this up. That's so annoying. I was internally elated that he thought of the same thing as me, but at the same time, I realized he would not be easily deceived. But I still don't know whether to tell him the truth or not. Should I tell him about the power Yonagi had kept secret to this day? I'm reluctant to tell a third party about the secret we share. To be honest, I just have vivid dreams sometimes.
鮮明な夢。
Oh no,
チームのようなものか。
they're talking about the title. They're gonna name drop the title, isn't it? they're gonna name drop the title. Why not? The immersion I feel when I'm having one of those, reminding me how I felt when I entered the virtual space for the first time.
なるほど。それで自分の脳波のデータを取って、その反応を蓄積してエミュレーターを作ったと。
Yeah. The professor lets out a light chuckle.
いや、なんでもない。なるほど。
He then turns to me and smiles.
君のようなタイプの研究者を私はもう一人知っている。
Like me?
つまり自分のやっていることが自分の理解を超えてしまっているような人間さ。
What the hell? Why did the main menus theme just started playing? What the hell? What the hell's going on?
そして進んで自分の体を実験台にしてしまう強胆さも併せ持っている。世間では端的に天才というのかもしれない。その言葉は使いたくないがね。それは私の敗北宣言に等しい。
He says, shrugging his shoulders. The person you're talking about is the same one you mentioned before. The researcher you started the lab with. A smile plays about his face. He nods.
カイトが追いかけている青写真は君の脳の中にしかないということだろう。
He said the line, Aojashin. Oh shit, he said it. Aojashin. Bro, we're getting there. We're getting the title. Aojashin.
それも白チュームを作るための青写真だ。雲をつかむような話だ。
Hakuchuumu. Oh shit, he said the title. He said the title. He said the title.
実に興味深い。もう少し詳しく聞かせてくれ。データの中身も見てみたい。君がこれをここに持ってきたのは、この先の精度向上にはこの空間を体験する多くの被験者が必要だと考えたから。それとこの研究室の先行研究との統合が視野に入ってきたから。そういうことなんだろう。
Yes, you read my mind. Wait, give me a second. My brain's blowing up right now. It's almost frightening how well he has my thought process figured out.
今日は私がコーヒーを入れよう。話を聞かせてくれ。
While he prepares the coffee, I tell him about the information I've gathered and what I know of the emulator.
そうか。今あるシミュレーターの機能を削って生体信号の計測器にしたんだね。
Yes, I've been recording and integrating records of my brain waves to improve their experience. I've been at it every day for the past month.
なるほど。1ヶ月。被験者がカイトだけでこの成果か。
Wait, I'm still I'm still annoyed by the title drop, man. When I heard Hakuchuumu no Aojashin, I was like, oh shit, he said the title. Anyway.
今回のように統計的なデータに基づいて処理を最適化するアプローチだと目を見張るような成果が上がるのは長くてもあと数ヶ月かもしれないね。この手のものは最後の数パーセントの最適化に全体の8割の時間がかかる。
I nod along as he speaks.
カイトさえ良ければ私も協力するよ。あのアプリケーションをここにも置いてくれれば私が体験している時のノウハウも取れる。
Yes, I'll make a backup. I'll be eternally grateful for the help. The Hakase smiles and seems to ponder something for a moment in front of the coffee machine.
仮想空間内で誰が何をするかによって処理を変える。なるほどな。我々の脳は簡単にパターン化できるほど単純な機構ではなかったというわけだ。ある意味人類にとっては朗報なのかもしれない。
Really?
みんな自分の心理は複雑だと思いたいものだよ。
All right. Hakase comes back, putting down 2 steaming cups of coffee on the table.
脳にはラスと呼ばれるフィルターのような機能がある。知っているかな？
Yes. I'm familiar with the concept at least. RAS is an acronym for Reticular Activating System. There were descriptions of it in the medical books I read as a kid. Oh, it didn't even make a hint? Anyway, it's the system that determines which events the brain registers.
そうだ。つまり我々は目の前の全てのことを認識しているわけではない。記憶に基づいて自分に必要だと思うことだけを認識している。靴を新調しようと思うとやたらと他人の靴に目が行ったりとかね。
Alright. I was waiting for the hint. Illicit relations? What the fuck? Oh, what? These are new stuff. Okay. Spontaneous signal loss. An end command for the emulated virtual space, issued by the participants within it. It can be perceived and triggered by thinking of any present keywords such as end this session. The principle invariant light speed. The idea of light having a constant velocity was proposed by Albert Einstein, has been established experimentally. It refers... Oh yeah, this was proven recently, right? It refers to the constancy of the speed of light from the perspective of an observer moving at any given speed. Anecdotes say that Einstein came upon the idea while he was daydreaming. RAS, or Reticular Activating System. A function of the human brain that makes us more alert and sensitive to information we find of interest. Our awareness is linked to our memories, and it's always shifting.
そうだ。まさに見たいものだけを見ていると言える。
I'm not in agreement.
そう考えれば確かにこの空間に入る全ての人間の記憶さえも最適な処理判断の変数になってしまうのかもしれない。記憶に基づいて見る世界は変わる。当然刺激される感覚系も変化する。そのパターンは膨大だ。もはやパターン化する意味がないほどに。きっと私でも君と同じように統計的にデータを集めていく方法を取っただろうな。まあそれもここに着目できた後のアプローチの話だ。天才と盆栽は結局この着眼点という紙一重で分かれてしまう。
Insight bonsai. Anyway. Despite the self-derealization I detect in his tone, he still smiles at me like usual. You know, I have a feeling that case 1, Arashiyama is based on Asuma. I have a feeling. Because it feels like we're interacting. Because I feel like this is the interaction with Arashiyama feels like.
快挙だよ、カイト。ありがとう。
No, I just got lucky. This isn't my achievement to lay claim to. This was all possible because of Yonagi's power. My only achievement is living with Yonagi. That's one I wouldn't be too proud to claim. Asuma Hakase lifts this mug of coffee to me. I make the gesture and bring it to my lips. I become accustomed to the bitter taste, a bitter bite to it. And that's exactly why I can detect the difference in taste now. I somehow feel like the coffee he brews has a more complex flavor than whatever I brew. It's a little strange. We use the same beans.
すぐにでも
Excuse me?
研究所に成果として報告するよ。臨時報告会を主催してもいいくらいの発見だ。
Which means
カイトはここにいる時間以外にも研究に時間を使ってくれているんだろう。
yes, my goal always was to work with you, Hakase. I still don't feel like I've done enough. He bugs at me, but then gives me the same affable look.
嬉しい言葉だよ。しかしさすがに手狭じゃないか。
What do you mean?
仮想の住居は原則一部屋だろ。研究用の機器もかさばる。
My heart leaps at the realization of what he's getting at.
君はもう研究員の基準で見ても十分すぎるほどの結果を出している。私もそれに応えるために動くよ。
Oh, Asuma Hakase is so cool, man. He's really supportive the moment he has, all the things he needs to do that. I feel it. I really feel it.
研究室としてもカイトの研究設備のために予算を割くのは至極当然の対応だ。しかもその交渉材料はカイトが用意してくれたんだ。当然カイトにはその報酬を受け取る権利が。
Now it's my turn to blink at him in disbelief. Obviously, amused by my surprise, he smiles.
中層に家を用意するよ。この成果はきっと多くの人の関心を引くことになる。研究の効率化のための研究員枠の申請は当然通ると思うよ。
Living in the middle side. So fast? It's finally happening?
ここに来るのも楽になるだろう。家族がいるなら一緒に移るといい。1週間だけくれ。すぐに申請を出すよ。
Kazuku.
兄弟はいるのか。ご両親は亡くなっていると聞いたが。
No, he raised an eyebrow at me and waits. I don't have siblings, but I am living with someone. So his face lights up, and his smile is from ear to ear.
そうか。
Still visibly joyous at the discovery, he asked me.
結婚は
Base. I like how he asked the question immediately. When's the wedding? I like that, man. I like that. Not yet.
いずれはその相手と考えているわけだ。
A not response.
なるほど。その相手は幸運だね。カイトのような人に選ばれて。
I'd say it's the opposite, in fact. None of this would have happened if it wasn't for Yonagi. But still, the middle side. I can hardly believe I'm saying the words. Asuma Hakase continues drinking his coffee, pretending not to notice me talking to myself. I can take Yonagi to the middle side. Yonagi has been nothing but a blessing for me. I don't even know how to begin to repay her for all she's done for me. It isn't a stretch to say that I am where I am today because of her. But at least now I can do something for her in return. I imagine her face when I tell her the news. Trying my hardest to keep a neutral expression despite the huge smile treading my lips, I take a big gulp of coffee. I went back home just like I did the other day when I was first assigned to Asuma Hakase's lab. We're going to live in the middle side. At last, we're fine going up there. Yonagi and I, together. I can't help but smile at the thought of it. We won't need to wade through this sea of stalks anymore. No more walking through the mud. We'll be able to look at all of this from above. And Yonagi will be free from her labor duties as well. I've waited for this day for so long. So many nights I dreamed of the day we would finally climb out of the low side. Yonagi! The house finally comes into view through the stalks. I bound down the stairs, determination and joy fueling my steps.
おかえり
Yonagi!
あ、その顔は研究がうまくいったんだな。
My smile must be the brightest it's been in years. Yes, it was good. No, it was more than good.
夕食はどうしますか？準備を始めていいですか？
あ、うん、お願い。いいよね、カイト。
Yeah, we need porridge.
得意料理ですから。
It's my best dish. Izumo quickly whips up dinner and sets up our bowls neatly on the table.
アスマ先生、喜んでくれた？
I'm gonna be a real researcher.
もう？何 年かかかるって言ってなかった？
That's what I thought. But Asama Hakase said he'll help make it happen. He saw the Dreamscape emulator what the Dreamscape emulator could do and told me it was more than enough to get the budget for the lab.
じゃあ
We're moving. We're gonna live in the middle side. And the words get stuck in my throat. We lived together for more than half our lives, but the thought of taking that next step forward gives me butterflies in my stomach. I take a deep, small breath to calm my nerves, hoping she doesn't notice. I want to live there together with you. Yonagi blinks at me, saying nothing. The whole system is set up so families can stay together, so... Please, marry me. I want us to be husband and wife.
夫婦に
I nod enthusiastically at her. Yonagi.
あのね、カイト。
Oh no, no, no. I don't like when something like this music plays. Instead of facing me, her gaze swims about aimlessly. What's wrong? With each passing second, her reaction is getting further and further away from what I imagined.
嬉しいよ、カイト。
Oh no, 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 no. Our eyes keep darting about as she searches for the right words. Izumo is staring intently at us. Liv-kun hovers effortlessly behind her. I'm suddenly hyper aware of all these normal everyday things.
ちょっと考えてもいい？
What? What's going on? What's going on? What? What? To think? She seemed confused for some reason. No. Scared might be the word I'm looking for. But what is there to think about? We'll have to do hard labor all day if we move. And we'll have a bigger house. We can have a better life there. What do you need to think about? Everything will be better. With each word, I feel my voice booming in the small room. The cold tendrils of a feeling I can't contain begin gripping my heart. Yonagi. Her head still held low. She looks at me. Is there someone... Oh my god! Oh my god! Is there someone else? Oh my god! Her expression shifts to a blank amazement, and she lets out a small chuckle.
そんなわけないじゃん。
I was like, Jesus Christ, man. I hate that question, man. I was like, even I got scared there for a second, or a split second. I was like, what? Hearing that makes me feel a small degree of relief.
子供の頃から好きな男の人はカイトだけだよ。当たり前じゃん、そんなの。
But you only said only men. What about... Just kidding. Anyway, then why? Her expression turns dour again. I'm at a loss at this point. I'm guessing it has to do with the middle side stuff. I have a feeling she was a middle sider before. You know what? If we base this from case 1, maybe the genius researcher was her dad. Wait, what? Wait, what? I don't like the parallels. Do you know the parallels? Or wait, do you know the parallels of case 1? Wait, I don't like that. I don't like the parallels of case 1. What? Something doesn't feel right. I can't be thinking that, man. Anyway, never did I expect my news to be met with this. I imagined tears of joy and celebration. Anything but this. But she's simply standing there, looking apologetic and cowering as the confusion drives me to shout. Why is this happening? What did I do?
適当に答えるわけにはいかないでしょ。とても大事なことでしょ。だから答える前にね、確かめなきゃいけないことがあるの。
Something you need to make sure of? She gives me a small nod. Then she simply hangs her head and stares down at her hands. What does that even mean? You're not making a lick of sense right now. What are you talking about? We've been together all these years. Why is this the first time I'm hearing about you having doubts?
それは私が悪い。私の弱さだと思う。カイトに甘えてたの。
She closes her eyes as she speaks, her tone quiet yet firm.
いつか確かめなきゃいけないのは分かってた。でもそれから逃げていた。もう少しこのカイトとの幸せな生活を続けたかったから。ごめんね。
I don't even know what you're apologizing for.
ごめん。今はそれしか言えない。謝ることしかできない。
Is the person in front of me really Yonagi? We've been together all these years. I've seen her in her most dreams inside of the dreamscape, which only makes it this all the more mind-boggling. What is even going through her head?
ちょっとだけ待ってて。
And then you'll tell me what all this is about. I puff out a huge sigh. I try to expel all my frustration and deep disappointment with it, to no avail. Just forget it. I drop my spoon back onto the plate. There's still some of Izumo's porridge left, but I don't think I can eat any more. I get up and sling my bag over my shoulder. I have no idea what you're talking about right now. Moving to a better home? Having kids? I thought that was the life we were both working toward. What have all these years together meant to you? Nothing? What was the point of all this? What is all bullshit? A game?
そんなこと言わないでよ。
She murmurs, her head still lowered. Her voice is thin, weak tread barely audible from where I stand. Then talk to me!
ごめんなさい。
I bring the palm of my head to my forehead and rub at the imminent headache forming there.
カイト。
I'll stay at the lab. I'll be there from now on.
でも
You know where to find me if you feel like talking. Until then, I don't think I can see you.
カイト。
しばらく家で食事をしないということですか。
Yes.
わかりました。
I turn my back on the table. Behind me, I hear the sound of Izumo clearing away the dishes. I thought you would be happy. Now, I don't know what I was even working so hard for. It feels like a heavy fog has settled over my mind. I still don't quite understand what happened. I can't forget the look on her face. Yunagi said she was happy to hear me propose. But everything she did and said after that showed the opposite. She just said that to not hurt my feelings. And even her concern ignites my chest with anger. Was she not satisfied with me? I imagine becoming a researcher in 1 month, where others normally take years. And I wasn't even born into a family of researchers like Iruma. Against all odds, I earned my spot as a researcher on my own merit. Any low-sider would rejoice at the idea. So, many dream of being in a position like this. Down here in this dim, dirty place where even the faint sunlight is blocked off by the shadows of the middle-side parks. And this unsanitary, foul, and insufferable hotbed of disease. Who lives here because they want to? No one, that's who. Then why? Why? I cannot for the light understand what's going through Yonagi's mind. Even after living together for so long and knowing each other better than anyone else, she still hid something that's this important for me. She obviously didn't trust me like I did her. As the thoughts have revolved around my head, it's not sadness which fills my heart, but anger. All those memories together. Her smile, her sweet voice. I'm filled with an impotent anger at myself over each of those indelible memories. Never before have I wished with such vehemence that I could forget. Perhaps those memories never meant as much to her as they did to me. I sigh as I look up at the sky. No, this cannot continue. I'm just poisoning myself. I shake my head to rid of these thoughts. I do it hard enough to seal my hair in the process. Then I exhale again. It's been a long while. Indeed. Since I last found myself sitting on a bench in the middle square. I used to have lunch here every day when I was doing hard labor. Now the memories of those days seem nostalgic to me. From here, I can see the middle side dwellings. Each house is magnitudes bigger than anything down in the low side. According to Asuma Hakase, those houses have more than one room. I now realize that, despite doing so much cleaning and maintenance for the middle side's infrastructure, I never seen the inside of one of those houses. I stare vacantly at the sea of lit windows in the distance, and my gaze turns upward. Beyond the huge generation panels are the residents of the topsiders. What if Yonagi refuses to marry me? Can I move to the middle side alone? Hard as I try, I can't imagine a life without Yonagi. Guess got some thumbs to twirl then. I stand up and dust myself off and head back to the lab. Guess I'll sleep here tonight. The empty lab feels completely different at night than during daytime. I guess it's especially noticeable when I've never spent the night alone before. I sit at my desk. It takes only a second for the image of Yonagi to pop in my head. I need to occupy myself with research. I'll just keep thinking about her unless I find something to distract me. I turn on the terminal and boot up the emulator. The emulator on the last shared terminal is active right now. Someone is using the emulator to retrieve data. Naturally, it must be the Hakase. I stand up and mosey over to the back of the laboratory, but he isn't there. Perhaps he's connecting remotely from somewhere else. Whatever the case, this shows me something. The Hakase is willing to spare his own time to help increase the precision of my emulator. I can't just go to sleep though. I boot up my own local emulator program. Bro, why don't you join the Hakase? Like, you'd be like, yo, you've been using the emulator, right? Yeah. Want to chill out? Yeah. Or some shit. I stay at the lab for a few days after that. I devote myself to research in an effort to put Yonagi out of my mind. My days are spent discussing theories with the Hakase and adjusting the emulator, processing and gathering data. We go on like this for a while. Neither the Hakase nor I speak of the debriefing session, when I'm already close to bursting from the impatience and stress. One day, Hakase Asuma enters the lab as dawn breaks and sunlight, filtered by ozone lens, colors the lab through the windows. Yeah, I've had a lot of work to do outside of the lab these days. My weary tone is met with his usual jovial smile. Like he says, it doesn't matter where you get them. Wink, wink. Thank you. He paces over his desk and sets his bag on top of it. Not so much. It doesn't sit right for me. Be resting while you're hard at work gathering data. I saw your connection was acting late at night a few days ago. He gives me a slightly troubled smile, like a kid who's been found out. Are you connecting from home? A nap room.
たまに夜通し考え事をするのに使っている部屋に計測器を持ち込んでいた。そうか、見つかっていたか。
He flashes me a little amused smile and scratches at the back of his head. Can't let the youth get too ahead of the game, can you? I'll make us some coffee.
ああ、ありがとう。
Bro, I need one of those nap rooms, dude. Too bad a corporate environment doesn't have those. Anyway, I fill the mugs with fresh hot coffee and go to the Hakase's desk and leave one on top of it. I wanted to talk about the move to the middle side. If I were to move first, for example, and were to marry after that, would there be any problem for the person in question to move in with me later? The Hakase lifts an eyebrow and keeps his gaze steady on me. It's just that, my partner, she's a little overwhelmed by the change being so sudden.
なるほど。優秀すぎる旦那を持つ女性ならではの気苦労だ。
Not knowing how to respond to that, I offer silence.
もちろん順番が前後したって構わないよ。でもカイト一人で中層に住むのかい？相手を仮想に置いて。
Thankfully, the tension lessens a little when he sips on his coffee. We've been together ever since we were kids, so maybe it's a good idea to give ourselves some time on our own, I guess.
いいのかなと言い聞かせているが本人ではないと
But not convincing. I like how you rationalize most validly, but not convincing. My boy. So obvious then. I raise my face to look at him. I see no malice behind that smile of his. I simply sigh and look away. I suppose there's no point in trying to hide something that's painted on my face. To be honest, I don't really understand what she's so worried about. I mean, there's no low sider that would jump at the offer to move to the middle side.
そうだね
But I recall the expression on her face back then. Her gaze wandering nervously, the dejection in her eyes. She wasn't happy about it. I don't even understand what she's thinking anymore.
なる
So yeah,
ほどカイトはどうなんだすぐにでも中層に住みたいかい
a nod in response. I would in a heartbeat. It's been my dream ever since I was a kid.
じゃあ先にカイトの移住の手続きを進めてしばらくは2つ家を持ってみたらどうだ
My eyes widened in surprise. I could do that?
どの中層民も仮想に家は持っているよ倉庫のように使っている者もいるし隣人に知られたくないことを密かにしている者もいる
Oh. Oh, that kind of makes me think a little. What? I frowned at that last part. Hide things like what? He gives me a meaningful smile and continues.
端的に言うと不貞行為だよ仮想の混沌が隠れ蓑にちょうどいいぞ
that was really scary, man. I don't know about that. Not at all.
まあそんな裏の側面は住んでから知ればいいことというか知らなくてもいいことだな
Oh shit, don't tell me if Asuwa is like if Asuwa has a similar story with Arashiyama. Oh, he might be having a he might be having a cold relationship right now with his wife. You know what I mean? Oh shit! I'm actually kind of scared. If case one kind of connects a lot to stuff, although I'm still afraid of the other idea. I hope that's not the case, man. I hope that's not the case. The other idea.
実際に中層の住居を見ればパートナーの考えも変わるかもしれない何よりこれはカイトの努力が出した結果なんだカイトが中層に住みたいなら住んだ方がいい心配しなくても人の欲求には果てがないだからこの町は成り立っている中層に住んだらすぐに次の目標が出てくるさ
I see.
研究所側には成果の報告と研究員枠の申請はした早ければ今日にでもカイトの面談があるどうするこのまま手続きを進めるかい別に急がなくてもこの話が立ち消えたりはしないカイト次第だよ
I'm a little lost. The only thing I can conjure up in my mind is Yonagi Izuma, but this is what I've always wanted. Yes, I'd like to keep going with it. The process was so simple that I found it almost anticlimactic. The Hakase applied for a researcher registration from the lab's account page. Then he was summoned to explain the results of the emulator and our future research plan in front of several researchers. After a conspicuous lack of interrogation on their part that I chalked up to him being the former director, the research budget and the researcher quota was approved. And so I became an official researcher of Asuma's lab and a middle-sized citizen, a mid-sider. I no longer had to go through the long tunnels in the lower side leading to the power plants and factory areas. Now I can live in the place I spent my childhood cleaning as a low-sider and do as much research as I want.
場所はわかるかい
Yes.
新しい自宅をゆっくり満喫するといい明日私は教育機関での授業があるから日中はいない休んでもいいからね
I nodded in response to meet his
お
gaze.
めでとうカイト今日から中層民だな
Thank you. I couldn't have done it without your help.
違うよカイトが自分の力で掴んだんだそこは謙遜してはいけないじゃあ
The house I've been assigned to is the area right behind the institute. Researchers live near their labs, and doctors live close to their hospitals. The system is designed to allow people with remarkable skills to focus on their duties. While it still feels anything but real, I head to what will be my home from now on. The door opens automatically as I approach. I use my biometric data to recognize me as a resident. It won't open to any strangers that walks up to it. There's one large dining area with a table. Towards the back is another separate room. It also has a spacious bath and restroom facilities. It's also clean and beautiful. Wait, what is the thing next to the... What is the thing across to that table? The two tables? That kind of looks like a bed, but my brain thought this was like the living room area, but like that kind of looks like a bed, so that kind of also doesn't make sense. You know what? I don't know what. I'm not gonna think too hard about this right now. I can't believe it. Low side housing doesn't even hold a candle to this. This looks durable and sophisticated. I find a small amount of food in the refrigerator. There's scent milk and water. This is my home now. I sit at the table and stare at the ceiling in awe. I feel the corners of my mouth rising into a smile. It's finally starting to sink in. I'm not a low-sider anymore. Everything here is clean, even the damn ceiling. Gone is the ever-pleasant smell of fertilizer that pervaded every corner of the low side. I feel at ease. I stand up and scan over the open shelves in the living room. I notice several sheets of pills neatly set on top of them. I've never seen them before. I'll walk up to the shelf and pick one of them up for a closer look. So, these are the artificial genes. The crystallization of centuries of medical advancement. These little pills are out of reach of every single low-sider. These tiny things can improve and maintain one's cells. According to the print on the sheet, they're designed to improve and strengthen the cells of the digestive organs like stomachs and intestines. It appears I must take them continuously and follow the instructions on my personal medical terminal, which is linked to the biometric chip that monitors my health. I must take them for 30 days, stop for a few days, then move on to the next sheet. Is this routine for all mid-siders? If Mom had these when she needed them, maybe she could have walked again. I didn't make it in time, but I'm still alive. One mustn't live in the past. I put the sheets back and close the shelf. There's a work desk separate from the dining table. Yonagi and I could focus on our work properly here. I'm sure Yonagi would change her tune as soon as she saw this house. It should be about time for her to finish work. I stand up and look through the living room window. I can see the workers gathering in the middle square from there. They're waiting in line to receive their rations. I'm close enough to recognize the faces of everyone waiting there. Among them is Yonagi. I'll show her this house. I'm sure they'll put whatever worry she has to rest. Oh, alright. Let's see if this works out well, man. I have a bad feeling, but let's see if this works out. As I go down to the square, I see Yonagi collecting her rations into a familiar pot. It's the same pot we used for the last decade or so. Catching sight of me, she slows down. Yonagi.
Kaito.
She comes to a stop, a cautionary step away from me, but it somehow feels like the rift separating us is miles long. A sense of distance makes my chest ache with a dull pain. You're done with work for today, right? I want to show you something. Come with me.
でも私まだ
Just come. I turn around and walk back to the house, with Yonagi trailing behind me a few paces back. There's no conversation for the duration of the walk. I look back a few times to make sure she's there, but Yonagi averts her gaze every time. Before long, we arrive at the house. As soon as we walk through the door, Yonagi stops in her tracks.
これって
This is my new house.
広いね
Yeah. There's a study, a dining table. There's more than one bedroom, and the air is cleaner than down there. I'll be living here from now on. He looks around, nodding along as I speak.
そうなんだね。仮想の家は
I own the property down there too. There's lots of memories with Mom there. There's no need to let go of it.
よかった。
Look at this. Just imagine living in this house. We won't have to clear all our stuff away every time we want to eat. You won't have to do physical labor every day. No more waiting in line for food. Just look at the fridge. We'd have all the food we need.
カイト
Huh?
カイトは仮想の生活が嫌なの？
I stare at her in disbelief. Her eyes are still downcast, but she doesn't meet my gaze head on. What do you mean? Do you think anyone's satisfied with their lives down there?
私はね、仮想の生活そんなに嫌いじゃないの。毎日ちゃんと自分のやるべき仕事があって、それが誰かの役に立ってて。
You know, okay. I have a feeling, yeah. I'm starting to think if she's very similar to Case 1 to Rin. I have a feeling, yeah, this is closest to Rin. Yunagi's closest to Rin, I think.
その日に必要な食材をもらって、
No, maybe, I'm thinking.
夜寝る前に少し自分の時間があって、机が狭くてもいいじゃん。本とノートを毎回運ぶのも楽しいよ。
You need to open your eyes! I shout at the top of my lungs and rake my fingers back through my hair to calm the raging nerves. Yunagi recoils and takes a step back. Are you listening to yourself? That's not a job. That's slave labor they're forcing onto you. Don't you see? Just look at this house. We're always going to be exploited if we stay down there.
だから搾取する側に回るの。
Her calm, subdued tone is like a needle being thrusted into my ear. She keeps her gaze steady on me, her expression blank as she waits for my answer. That's what it takes to protect the people I love.
カイト、違うよ。私はこんなことでカイトと夫婦になるかどうか決めるんじゃないよ。私は
Any of this? I cut her off and keep talking. You still can't imagine us being together here?
そうじゃないってカイト。私は二人でいられればどこだっていいの。そういうことじゃなくて。
Stop with the theatrics. You're seriously telling me you'd rather be in that cramped rat hole?
綺麗事なんかじゃないよ。そうじゃない。
You don't even know what living in the middle side is like. That's why you...
中層の暮らしなら知ってるよ。
After that heated answer, a heavy silence sets into the room. I can't hear any sound. The silence is so tall that it's almost eerie. Perhaps the thick walls are good at keeping all other sounds out. What did you say?
ごめん。黙ってて。でもだから違うの。そんな話がしたいんじゃなくて。
What did you mean by that? How do you know what life in the middle side is like? You are a...
仮想に落ちたんだよ。子供の頃、カイトと出会う前に。
To the low side? What do you mean? You live in a house like this? With whom?
お父さんだよ。お父さんと私を産んだ人と3人で住んでた。
Oh, okay. So, yeah, this is case 1. This is case 1 stuff. Wait, I'm still afraid of the other meaning of case 1. Anyway, yeah, this is case 1. I feel the corners of my mouth lifting into a confused smile. As my mind struggles to handle what's it being confronted with, what sounds like a sad, confused trickle of laughter leaves my lips. Why didn't you ever tell me? Why did you keep it to yourself this whole time? How can you just keep silent about something like that all these years? Tell me.
ごめん、カイト。
Her words make something snap within me. The empty apologies only served to turn the deadly tendrils of fury growing inside me into flames. You were playing with me this whole time. Was it fun for you to look down on me while I dream about becoming a midsider? Was that it?
違うよ。
You watched my mom die when you live in a house like this. Was it funny to watch her suffer when you knew what it was like to have a doctor at your beck and call?
聞いてよ、カイト。
Or what? Did you use it for one of your novels? You use our misfortune as fuel for one of your stupid tragedies? How dare you mock her? An impact strikes me across the face, which forced enough to yank my head to the side. It takes me a second to realize it was her palm that slammed against my left cheek. I take the hit and simply turn back to her.
本気で言った。
Her rose red eyes are alight with quiet indignation. She looks to be on the verge of tears.
本気でそう思ったの。私がママとカイトのこと裏で笑ってたって。
Tears spill from her eyes. They fall down her tense cheeks and trail down her neck. Still dazed and struggling to follow, I simply stare. I notice the trajectory of the tears shift as the corner of her mouth curl into something that's not quite a smile. It's the face of a person at their wit's end.
カイトだったらどの日の私も覚えてるんでしょ。ねえ、ママが死んだ日、私どんな顔してた？あなたの記憶の中の私、笑ってる？せせら笑ってた？答えなさいよ！
Completely mentally spent, I let myself fall onto the first chair I see by the dining table. The hard wooden chair creaks under the sudden weight. Go away. This is my house. I earned the right to live here with my own two hands. I hang my head down, shutting her out of my sight. I don't know what expression is on her face right now, and I don't want to. To be honest, I'm scared to look. If I'm not good enough for you, I want you out of my house. Feel free to take the place down there if you like it so much. I'm done being a lowsider.
カイト。ねえ、カイトだよね。どうしちゃったの、カイト。全然カイトらしくないよ。おかしいよ。別の人と話してるみたいだよ。
I don't know. Press the heels of my hand into my eyes. I don't know anything anymore. I only feel the pressure in my own hands. A few moments later, I hear the slow thud of Yonagi's boots leaving the house. What is this? Is this what I get after accomplishing my dream? Was it becoming a midsider supposed to make me happy? My whole life up to this point, I dedicated my everything to become a researcher. So, why do I feel the most miserable I ever felt since I lost mom? Is there something wrong with me? Will I find the answer to that here in the middle side? Not here. Then in the top side? On the surface? The sky? Beyond? How far do I have to go? How long do I have to keep on chasing after something that's always just out of reach? The thick white walls of the big house absorb my pitiful cries, leaving me with nothing. After spending a sleepless night, I head to the lab before dawn. It was my first night in a brand new house. I have more space than ever before. The bed was bigger than I ever dreamed of having. I had everything I ever wanted. Yet, I couldn't sleep a wink. Instead, Yonagi occupied all my thoughts. I'm unable to forget her expression, her pained tone, and the tears I made her shed. Am I in the wrong? I didn't even know she used to be a midsider. She never spoke of her family. It never seemed like she thought of anyone but my mom as her mother. I only knew that her father named her and not much more. I always imagined there was something going on there, so she never spoke of him. I knew both her parents passed away, but I didn't know anything about their lives. At least one of them had to have work in the Millside. A Millside job. Maybe as a novelist for the Culture Preservation Center. A doctor? A researcher? The more time goes by, the more unanswered questions I have. I don't think I can surmise anything with so little info. She kept her secrets well. When morning comes around, I brew myself some coffee. But strangely enough, the bitter taste does nothing to lift the thick haze that settled over my mind. I better try to work and distract myself. I go into the Dreamscape emulator and record my brain waves. I feel like I'll lose my mind if I just sit there doing nothing. I vacantly stare at the terminal and choose one of the places from the list for the emulator to rebuild. It's my home in the lower side, back when my mom was around. Mom's also there in the Dreamscape. I recall my discussion about the RAS with the professor. Perhaps the images being conjured up by my brain are what it deems I need to see. That's fine. Does it matter whether this is reality or not? What does it my brain's dying. What does is that I need this space right now. Mom's right here, in front of my eyes. I became a midsider, Mom. She doesn't stare. She merely keeps looking out the window. I studied hard, became a researcher and a midsider. They gave me a house in the middle side, Mom. Not the same boy I was when I refused to go to school. The coward that couldn't talk back to Shachi. This is the man I wanted Mom to see, so she could be proud of her son. And yet, she doesn't turn around to face me. She never will. I'm alive. Yonagi and I are alive. We can't keep living in our memories of the past. There's nothing I love more than feeling near to Mom, like I do right now. This is important to me. But we can't live here, can we, Yonagi? Why can't you understand that? We're not the only ones being exploited. I just worked my ass off to get through a door that was open to all. Why can't you be happy with what I achieved for us? Mom keeps on looking out the window. The decisive difference between this and Yonagi's dreamscape is the fact that I could easily communicate with Mom in her dreamscape. Our joint mental images embodied her, made her more than any one of us could conjure on their own. The emulator can't do that. In her dreamscape, Yonagi's the creator, and she can embody whatever she sets her mind to. But there's no central figure at the heart of this emulator. If any one individual ego takes over, the shapes the image of this world, it all falls to chaos. But what if multiple participants were to envision the same image at the same time? Would it be able to embody something in this space? Would there be a need? I'm not trying to recreate the actual surface perfectly. The only thing it needs to do is to provide respite for people, a place where everyone can calmly await their awakening. Ensuring their comfort must be prioritized over whatever reality is supposed to be. Mom's pale shadow is here right now because the master data of the space consists of me and Yonagi. When the amount of data surpasses us, the simulation becomes large enough to simulate the surface. The image we work so hard to envision will no longer be realized. If a small number of intense images were embodied through strong emotions of people, it would become a paranormal phenomenon popping in and out of existence. But what if it was an image that many long for, an idol people use to support themselves? Would such an existence be embodied in this space? When many participants enter this space and start fulfilling its role, adjusting the parameters of this aspect of it would be almost impossible. This function of the simulation would make God manifest, so to speak. When many participants share the same image, that target would be embodied in this space. In reality, the brain usually performs a process in which it compares a predicted map created from past memories with actual sensory signals. Perhaps there will be a need to upload data from the participants' brains to some extent. But as long as the participants can project their own perceived image of the world to contrast it with the base we made, the God manifestation phenomena can occur. All I can do right now is improve the accuracy of the emulator. I continue my work in silence. By the time the sun begins to set, I assume the professor won't be showing up. He said he would be teaching the children today. I'm sure he's still imparting all those lessons he once gave to me and Yonagi. There may be a kid among those classes who grows up dreaming about becoming a part of his lab like I did. I stopped by the square on my house on my way home. The ration line is gone by now. Yonagi's probably back home in the lower side. I sit on a nearby bench and stay there for a while, staring at the faces of the people passing by. It's so strange. All of the low-siders gathering here and there. They all look happier than I've ever been since I became a mid-sider. I watch as they end their day of labor. The hustle and bustle of the middle square sounds to me like it's coming from a whole other world, a world I'm insulated from. They all hold their silver bowls with such care. Must be their rations. I'm sure I have about as much food as them, if not more, in my fridge. Did Yonagi go back home carrying her rations in the old pot again? Will Izumo make her porridge today? I bring a hand to my cheek and touch it idly. It's the same one that Yonagi slapped. As I touch it, a question pops into my mind. Why am I dragging my feet? Why is it so hard to go back home? I don't have to take that awful elevator anymore. I don't have to wait in line for food anymore. I don't have to go perform maintenance in the power generation or factory areas like the rest of the adults. I just sit there watching the low-siders go about their lives. That's not my place anymore. I chose not to be one of them. The house I abandoned Yonagi for is right there, all mine. I'm gonna go back. No use sulking here. I blow out a sigh and get to my feet. I come back to an empty house. It's really quiet in here. I sit at the table. I don't even have an appetite. At least, I'm not hungry enough to cook for myself. I'd rather keep working in the lab if this is what's waiting for me back home. I worked less efficiently when I was in the lower side. The commute home was horrible, for example. I had to move my tools anytime we needed the table for dinner. I thought I could spend more time researching if I didn't have any of those things eating into my time. How's that working out for you now, Kaito? Man, my body feels like a piece of lead. Heavier than it ever did after any of my commutes. There's so many things I want to think about and solve, but I can't seem to force myself to move. Is Yonagi having dinner alone, I wonder? I suppose the day that Yonagi and I start a life together here. Perhaps there's no such thing anymore.
Hmm? Kaito ka?
Huh? Huh?
また止まったのかい?
Still lying on the sofa, I prop myself on an elbow and blink my groggy eyes until reality sets in. Ah, Hakase! The realization hits like a bolt out of the blue, and I jump to my feet. I'm so sorry. I just meant to take a nap and...
構わないよ。一時期は毎日誰かがそうやって寝ていた。なんだか懐かしいよ。
I'm sorry.
どうした？夢の中で偉大なインスピレーションに恵まれたかい？
He looks at me. His affable demeanor making me feel worse. No matter what I do, Yonagi's face is at the forefront of my mind. All my thoughts end up circling back to that day. My condition means that the memories don't fade, keeping the emotions I felt at the time as painful and as raw as the moment they happened. Normally, as memories fade, the anger and sadness associated with them erodes as well, giving way for forgiveness and resignation. But my mind doesn't quite work like that. All my memories are vivid as the moment they happen, and the sensations come to me with the same force. I have no choice but to try to occupy my mind elsewhere so that it doesn't focus on those memories. That's how I usually deal with this kind of thing. Actually, yeah, that kind of made me think about how people with photographic memory deal with things like that, you know. That is one disadvantage, you know, of, like having photographic memory. You deal with like a painful memory, man, you'll always experience it as raw. However, my abnormal memory means that I'll just keep accumulating all those negative memories and trying to keep my attention from them like a trauma. You don't need to waste time listening to my nonsense.
でも聞いてほしいと顔に書いてあるぞ。こう見えてもカイトの3倍以上は生きている。見た目は奇妙なほどに若いかもしれないが。
Oh, well, he is literally 72.
結婚もしているし、それなりのことは経験してきたよ。これからも長い時間を共にする同志なんだ。話してごらんよ。
Okay.
その前に顔を洗った方がいいな。
Well, I'll talk to Grandpa with the sharpness of a 20-plus-year-old dude. Oh, sorry, I got distracted. It's very useful to sign up in one of those settlement things. They you end up getting money from them, but it's really low. I only got like $10, which isn't so bad. I mean, not so bad, I guess. Anyway, the professor brews coffee while I wash my face, brush my teeth, and straighten my crumpled clothes.
中層での生活はどうだ?
It's comfortable, I think.
本当は?
I bite at my lower lip in frustration. The truth is, I'm not sleeping well. Recently, I've lost my appetite to only go home to change clothes pretty much. It's what I always wanted. I finally made it, but what? I take a moment to think what I'll say next.
住んでみたら空虚だった?
I'm not in agreement. His smile turns to a light frown.
無気力か。危ういね。体は動くかい?
Huh? Not at all.
ならいい。
He brings a cup of coffee to his lips and takes a sip.
パートナーはどうしている?
He's still living on the lower side. We haven't spoken for a while.
なるほど。でも、そうか。仮想での暮らしが苦にならない人なんだね、きっと。カイトのパートナーは。
Wait, I'll be right back. Alright, let me continue. It sure seems that way.
どんな人なんだい?
Well, I feel like this is the first time I talk about Yonagi with him. I try to think of a sensible place to start from. There was a time when I was young where I didn't go to school. Back then, she was the one who invited me to come. The day I first met her. That was also the day I met you.
私?
I nodded at him, squinting. He seems to ponder for a moment, his gaze focused between the two mugs on his desk. The day you taught me about motors, you helped me print the exterior of a toy car a few days later.
中層の広場でモーター? あ、そうか。あの時の少年か。あれがカイトだったのか。
I nod, feeling a little relieved that he remembers.
そうか。あれがカイトだったのか。もっと早く言ってくれればよかったのに。
Okay, this answers a lot. Because I was like, does he remember this guy? Okay, apparently he doesn't until now. I thought it would have been audacious of me. You must have seen many thousands of students through the year.
でもあの日か。
Cheers.
よく覚えているよ。私にとっても印象的だった。中層の広場で。
He falls silent again, deep in thought.
ヨナギか。
I don't believe my ears for a moment. I had assumed if he didn't remember me, he definitely wouldn't remember Yonagi. He meets around 300 new students every single year.
君はヨナギと一緒に暮らしているのか?
Yes. Visibly taken aback by the revelation, he looked at me with wide eyes. To my surprise, he laughed out loud. I just sat still watching.
全く知らなかったよ。そうか。カイトのパートナーはヨナギなのか。不思議な縁だね。いや、狭い町だ。こんなこともあるか。
Such a small town. that kind of sounded weird. I was like, but you guys all live in the same place. Actually, how do they deal with the expanding population, man? Hmm?
なるほど。彼女なら仮想の生活を楽しんでいても不思議ではないね。
Do you know Yonagi? He gives a resolute nod.
ヨナギの家族のことは何か聞いているかい？
Nothing at all, actually. That's why we got into an argument when I learned she used to be a midsider.
喧嘩？
I always thought she'd dream of becoming a midsider like me. But we lived all these years together, and I never knew she had actually been there before.
運命めいたものを感じるね。
Destiny.
見せたいものがある。
A nostalgic smile plays about his face as he goes over his desk, takes a photo frame from it, and comes over to sit in front of me. He holds the frame out to me. What's this? He smiles at me and nods encouragingly. Intrigued, I lower my gaze to the photo. That's you. Oh no, no, no! This guy is the Hatano. This guy is the Hatano. I forgot his first name, but oh no, case one. It's all case one all over again. But will it do the? No way, right? No way, right? No way, right? They're not gonna do the forbidden asterisk, right? That'd be weird. Unless they did. Anyway, that's you. The picture was taken here?
そうだ。もう20年以上前の写真だよ。
Look at this guy. 40 years old. Looks fucking like 20 something. That's a long time ago. That said, he doesn't look a day older than he does in this picture.
もう一人の人物に見覚えはないかい？
There's a man standing next to him. The first thing that jumps out at me is his white hair and deep red eyes. That man. Is he Yonagi's? Professor nod as he sees the realization dawn on me.
父親だ。
As her father.
私の共同研究者だった。シオナという。
Shiona. He was a researcher. Professor nods again. So that's why Yonagi was a midsider. Because her father was a researcher?
ヨナギが生まれた時は中層に住んでいた。ずいぶん幼い頃だったけどね。
Her father was a researcher like me. Why would Yonagi keep this from me?
まあ、本人からは言いづらかったのかもしれない。ヨナギを責めないでほしい。
What do you mean? Why would it be hard?
ヨナギの父親は非常に優秀な研究者だったよ。隣にいる私が嫉妬するくらいには優秀だった。
Asama Hakase has previously spoken of a researcher he once knew. The only person he would call a genius, I recall. So, that was him. So the person he founded the lab with. He nods again, a glimmer of pride shining in his eyes.
彼だよ。今の仮想空間構築システムの基盤はほとんど彼が作った。私はもっぱらハードウェアの調整をしていた。手を抜いたつもりはないが、彼の理論と感覚情報処理の先進性に比べれば学生レベルの作業と言ってもいいだろうね。
Intern level task.
言ってみれば、今カイトが進めているソフトウェアの基盤部分の開発を担っていたのが彼だった。
I see.
だけど彼とヨナギは仮想に落ちたんだ。彼が研究職を続けられなくなったから。
You couldn't? What happened?
彼はものを覚えていられなくなった。最終的には自我も失っていった。
Oh shit, this is what's going to happen to Yonagi. She's also going to suffer the same fate. Himself. I read about the existence of such brain condition that affected people on the surface from medical books. But This is the first time I've heard a case like that down here.
もともとの疾患だったのか、研究の過程で何度も自分の体を実験台にしたことの副作用だったのか、今となってはどっちかわからない。ただ私は果てしなく罪悪感を感じたよ。
It says, his gaze apparently miles away. You feel guilty for not noticing it was happening before it was too late?
いや、
The professor turns to me, his mouth settling into a hard line.
彼が全てを賭したこの研究をまだ形にできていないことへの罪悪感だ。反対の立場だったらきっと同情はされたくないだろうね。
I see. Hakase fills the silence with a sip of his coffee.
そんな状態になった父親に最後まで寄り添ったのがヨナギだ。でも彼は自分が誰なのか、一緒に暮らしているこの小さな少女は何者なのか、最後はそれすらわからなくなったらしい。
I look down at my cup of coffee. Coffee gone cold, hardly appetizing. I have no idea.
ヨナギは中層に住むのを拒んだかい？
I recall her sad expression once more. I don't think she rejected it exactly, but she wasn't happy about it. She told me she wanted me to wait. She wanted to make sure of something before giving me her answer. And then something clicks in my head. Why would she refuse moving with me to the middle side? Why would she say it was because she got complacent? I tried to piece all the pieces together and formulate a hypothesis.
中層に住むほとんどの人はその労働内容によって中層民の資格を得ている。
I halt my thoughts and turn back to him.
ヨナギの父のようにその資格を失えば仮想レイヤーに落ちることになる。その時ヨナギの母は中層に残ったんだよ。
She did? How?
他の研究員と再婚した。
Jesus Christ. I stared at him, stunned. What? People could just do that?
制度上は離婚も再婚も可能だ。そんなことができるのかと問われれば端的な答えはイエスだよ。あくまでルールの話だけどね。人としてどうこうという質問なら私には答えようがない。とにかくヨナギの母にとっては中層民でいることが人生の最優先事項だったんだろう。
The desolation in her expression back then takes a whole new meaning now.
ヨナギの母の気持ちはわからなくもないよ。ヨナギは意地でも仮想の生活を愛そうとしているのかもしれない。自分の母がいとも簡単に切り捨てたその生活を無価値なものだとは認めたくなかったんだろう。彼女はずっと仮想民の労働のことを仕事と呼んでいた。その毎日に愛着を持とうと必死だったんだと思うよ。
All these years. Yonagi has always called the forced labor her job. I have no recollection of her ever using the word labor to refer to it, which means that she hasn't ever used that word, at least in front of me. This is all news to me.
悪かったな。最近カイトの様子がおかしいのに気づいてはいた。
It's okay.
できればヨナギの口からも聞いてあげてほしい。彼女は家族というものに複雑な思いを持っているんだと思う。彼女の救いになれるとすればカイトしかいないからね。
I'm sorry, Hakase nods, directing a knowing smile at me.
いいよ、言ってあげなさい。ヨナギと父親が住んでいた場所の位置データも送っておくよ。
Thank you. What Yonagi wanted to make sure of. I'm almost certain I know what that is now. I recall the knowledge I learned from those surface books, specifically about a disease once called Alzheimer's. It's a disease that occurs when a malignant protein such as beta amyloid is produced in high amounts inside the brain, clumping together and collecting between neurons, disrupting and impeding a person's memory. There were several treatments, but they all served merely to alleviate the suffering of the patient. At the very least, humankind never found a definitive cure for it while on the surface. 10% of the people who develop this condition do so from genetic causes, due to being born with an extra chromosome 21, which means there's a chance that Yonagi inherited the disease from her father. Regardless of whether or not it occurred in him as a side effect of experimentation, it's possible that he passed it down to her. That must be what Yonagi's trying to ascertain. She wants to know she'll lose herself one day. She was upset with herself for not having the courage to tell me. She didn't want to hurt me. Why? What am I here for then? I can understand why she wouldn't want to tell me, but I want her to rely on me. I want her to believe in me. I kick off the dirt on my mad rush back home. Yonagi! I haven't been to my lower side home in several days. As I swing the door open, I'm not met with Yonagi, but Izuma staring right into my face by the entrance. Yonagi.
いません。
I'll look up at the wall clock. You still at work?
いえ、
I snap my head back at Izuma.
ヨナギは6日前から帰ってきていません。
What?
労働に行ったまま帰宅していない。
Why?
わかりません。何も聞いていません。
Can't you locate her chip?
所有者として登録されているのはカイトだけです。位置情報の自動追跡はカイトにしか行っていません。
Damn it!
ヨナギの位置を検索しますか？
Please do. If she's not here, there's only one other place she could
位
be.
置情報を表示します。
She's in the lower side. Her location is consistent with what the Hakase sent me. The place where she lived with her father.
行くんですか？
Yes.
よかったです。
Please
ヨナギの帰りを待っていると伝えてください。
Wow, Izumo's starting to express a little bit more. Okay, thanks. The location data leads me to a cluster of small buildings nestled deep in the lower side. Our houses face the cornfield, and that's actually a view outside the window, so it's well situated, all things considered. But deeper in the lower side, the middle side blocks out the sunlight, and everything's dark and musty. The heavy dust is so intense that it's almost hard to keep one's eyes open. I wade my way through the tight corridors and find a place. This must be it. I stand in front of the old house and knock on the door. I rap on it a few times, eliciting no answer. Yonagi, are you there?
カイト。
I'm coming in. The first thing I notice is the lack of natural light in here. Oh my god, the study kind of looks like, yeah, it kind of looks like the place where Sensei the older Hatano committed suicide. Actually, I have a feeling that's how he went out. I have a feeling that's how he went out, man. Full bookshelves covered the walls with countless notes stuck to them. I noticed a familiar hardcover notebook open in the middle of the only desk in the cramped space. It's a novel Yonagi's writing. You've been writing a novel. She has a somewhat vacant expression in her face. It's a far cry from her usual cheery demeanor. Forgive me, Yonagi.
何が？
I,
アスマ先生に聞いたの？この場所のこと。
and not in response. I also had Izumo look up your location.
そう。
The silence extends excruciatingly. I turn my eyes to the notebook spread open on the desk. Still writing the story about Shakespeare. She shakes her head slowly.
あの話はもう書く意味がないから。今はずっと書きたくなかった小説を書いてるの。
What?
目を背けてきたこと、逃げてきたことを今書いてる。
She throws me a tired smile.
聞いたんでしょ？お父さんのこと。
Yeah.
アスマ先生に。
I can't remember a time where her smile looked sadder than this.
ごめんね。ずっと黙ってて。いつか話さないとってずっと思ってはいたんだよ。
Her calm tone rings through the room. Izumo told me you haven't been home in a while. You've been here writing this whole time? She doesn't answer the question. Instead, her gaze wanders between us.
カイトにとって一番忘れたくないものは何？
Somehow, I feel like this question means a lot of things. I don't get the impression that she means any moment or person in particular.
私はね、自分の感情なの。自分が感じた悲しみとか怒りとか、もちろん幸せも。
A nod back. You said something similar before.
カイトみたいにその時にあった全てのことを覚えていられなくても、私は自分の心がどう動いて何を感じたのかだけは忘れたくないの。だってそれが私そのものだと思ってるから。初めてカイトと作ったお話覚えてるでしょ？
A nod.
あのお話を読むと、私はカイトとあのお花畑を見つけた時の気持ちを思い出すの。今まで何度も通っていた道にすっごく綺麗な空の見える場所が隠れてた。あのトンネルをくぐってる時に胸がすっごくドキドキしたことを思い出すんだよ。オリビアの話を読めば、好きな男の人と近づきすぎてしまった戸惑いに共感する。カイトもミルも奥手だから。
She says, a small chuckle leaving her lips.
オリビアには女としてこんな風に振る舞えたらいいのにっていう願望も入ってるかな。
Then, why did you... Yunagi stays silent as I speak. Why did all those stories end up with them saying goodbye in the end? After a moment, she turns to the notebook open on the desk and traces the lines with her fingers.
だって私がこの本を必要とするときは、もうあなたはいない。私の隣にあなたはいない。
Why are you so sure about that? She shakes her head slowly.
カイトの気持ちを疑ってるんじゃないよ。私が私のまま死んでいけば、きっとカイトは最後までいてくれるんだろうって思う。
Oh shit.
でもその時カイトの隣にいるのは私じゃないんだよ。私の言ってることわかる？
After a moment's pause, I nod. I've been studying the brain and memory for a long time. I know what happens in cases like these. I know what's at the end of the road for people with advanced memory loss. What does the self lie? Where does the self lie? What gives a person their personality? Their memories. That's it. Oh, we're gonna have a lot of philosophical discussions about this, man. Oh man, we got out of Suinosora. Oh shit. But we're not gonna discuss philosophy right now. We're gonna take this from a scientific perspective. But we'll have that discussion one day. Anyway, a person's individuality lies in their memories. And when those are lost, whose soul that inhabits the drained vessel? When all the memories and memories... sorry, my brain. Oh, my brain's already forgetting. Oh, shit. Okay. When all the moments and memories she cherished deep in her heart are gone, will the person who remains really be her? Wait, let me slow down my brain. Sorry, my brain's like, oh, shit. I don't think I have the answer to that right now. But I understand what she's saying. But
それでも私はね、その時になっても私は自分がどんな道をたどってきたのか、この物語を読んで思い出したいの。
I hate how heavily I can relate on this. Relate on this. I think I said earlier that one of the main reasons I upload stuff is do something similar. My family doesn't have Alzheimer's or some shit, but it's more like a recreational thing. It's like I'm 72 years old. I look back at my 36, 35, 30s, 40s, 20s, you know, all that. And see how I react to my own younger self and be like, man, that's kind of cringe.
それが私から彼女への鼻向けなの。だから
Her gaze shifts from the notebook to me.
別れの物語じゃないとダメなの。私はその悲しさをごまかしたくないの。自分がとても悲しい気持ちの中にいるって思い出させてあげたいの。私が私じゃなくなった時。
You know, it'd be funny because I had like I had a thought because since I'm doing all this shit, I'm doing all this shit, and I thought to myself, what if her novels are the cases, right? What if I string together every single damn upload I ever made and emulate myself out of that information? That's a funny thought. That's a funny thought because I was thinking about how the whole thing that's going on in the story is like, and I thought to myself, instead of cases, what if all my uploads I string them together and somehow have some model extract information that details like what kind of personality I had based on the recordings, and then based on that data, you use that to emulate a person, a persona like me. I might look into that, but I need to. For me to make something like that, I need to develop the extractor, you know. Like, you need like a way to listen on the vocal recordings and properly tag them of traits that describe a person. But it's kind of weird because you're only getting a dimension of like the only dimension you're recording is like how a person's personality is based on their voice. Like, that's very difficult. I mean, from text alone, because I kind of used to do, I wouldn't say research. I was involved with the research, but I didn't do the research itself. But I was involved with people who actually did the research, trying to look into how we capture information such as determining a person's emotional state based on how they talk, but more on the text side, not on the audio side, because having text and audio, well, that improves the dimension a bit because you can use pitch to determine when the person's, you know, angry or not. But obviously that's not like a good enough picture because, you know, this is the second thing I'm going to bring up, because when I'm reading these visual novels, naturally I'm sort of acting, but, you know, I'm narrating all that shit. So obviously if you try to use a naive model that tries to extract information of how a person's personality is based, that model should also be capable of handling, like, is the person acting? Is the person actually angry, or are they acting angry? Or are they angry because they're not actually angry, but they're angry because they feel too happy? I guess the proper emotion for that's manic or something. I don't know, man. But you know, that's very difficult. Trying to track a person's, try to accurately derive an assessment of a person's personality based on recordings of their voice, especially if at some point some of the recordings of the voice is the person is actually acting as if they were someone else or something else. Anyway, that was a huge tangent, but I was thinking about the whole thing that's going on in the story and how, you know, how close we are to something like this, or can we do something like this in the future or something like that. I think there is a possibility, but it's like, we're way far off from that. Especially if we're trying to especially we're trying to and something got really distracted, but like especially we're trying to, you know what, my train of thought disappeared because I got myself distracted. You know what, let's go back to the visual novel. But I had some couple of interesting thoughts. I'll probably listen to the VOD. I'll probably look into current research into those things because that got me interested. But anyway, the story, I like how this is very plausible to me because I used to work with research that kind of flows in a tangent ideas to these. I mean, I didn't go to the idea. I didn't go to like trying to develop a virtual space based on some sort of dreamscape shit or whatever. But in my case, it was more like the components needed to develop the dreamscape. But anyway, let's continue.
その時私はカイトが誰なのか、ここがどこなのか、今がいつなのかもわからなくなる。私が何を求めていたのか、誰を愛していたのかも、そんな姿をカイトには見せたくない。
You look into it already. When she hears that, she stops on the spot. You were trying to find out if your father's condition is hereditary, right? She smiles at me and looks into my eyes.
妖精だったよ。遺伝してた。
The answer sinks like a rock to the bottom of a well. I find myself unable to speak.
奇跡なんてないよね。この世界には。
Yeah, but doesn't Alzheimer's take a really long while before it starts to manifest and all? I keep getting distracted by the news regarding a fucking Bandai Namco being merged into something. Anyway.
あるわけないよ。小説じゃないんだもん。
It feels like she's talking to life itself rather than to anyone in particular.
ずっと黙ってて。ごめん。
Oh, I realized I also have to end the recording after this scene, so let's go through this. It's either this scene or the whole arc. You know what? The whole arc. Let me go through the whole arc. It'll be funny if it goes up to 3 hours and 30 minutes because this might take longer. Let me actually read, so I'll finish this earlier because I really do need to leave soon.
黙ったまま一緒にいて。ごめん。
Well, even if you do have the gene, are you certain you'll experience the symptoms? And if we know it's gonna happen, we can. Yonagi shakes her head and holds a hand up to stop me.
カイトは知らないんだよ。目の前で大事な人が失われていくのがどういうことなのか知らない。いくら頭が良くたってそれは経験しないとわからない。私はあなたにそんなことを経験させる存在になりたくないの。
Yonagi reaches for a sketchbook sitting on one of the shelves in the center of the room. She slowly opens it up and flips through the pages. By the way, it's... Okay, I'm making another comment. By the way, it's kind of key though that Kaito has perfect memory while... Yeah.
お父さんが最後まで書いていたのはこれ。
Pages upon pages depict the same woman. What? What is going on? She looks like... What? She kind of looks like... What? What is going on? What? Is Kaito... What? 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 Who's that?
お父さんの昔の奥さん。
Why does she look like... No, 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 no. It only looks like. It only looks like. Maybe it's the same. It's the same face thing. Maybe it's the same face thing. No way, man. I was like, doesn't she look like Kaito's mom? But then again, I remember Kaito's mom doesn't have like a mole near her eye. It's sorry. That was the same. That was the same face. Okay, that was the same face thing. Okay, I was scared for a moment. I was like, oh, that's how the forbidden love comes into the story. Oh. Not okay. Apparently, it's not. I overreacted, or maybe it is. Maybe it is. Maybe it is. Let's go to you. The person the Hakase spoke of, the woman who abandoned her sick husband and her child, Yonagi's mother. Her choice of words to refer to the woman doesn't escape me.
最後までお父さんはこの人の絵を描き続けていた。一緒に暮らしている私のことを忘れた後もずっと。
She murmurs, her face betraying no expression.
頭では分かってるの。お父さんには何の悪気もない。でもこの人はお父さんも私のことも簡単に捨てたんだよ。許せると思う？最後の日までお父さんのそばにいたのは私なのに、名前も呼んでもらえなかった。なのにこの女のことは最後の日まで書き続けてたんだよ。どうすれば許せるのかな、知りたいよ。
A thin line of tears streak her cheeks.
私も昔のこと全部忘れられたらいいのにって思う。この人が私とお父さんにしたことなんて綺麗に忘れられたらもっと楽になれるのにって、そんな風に考えてたから現実になっちゃったのかな。
Oh, we had the same scene play out. Her voice sounds ghostly, like a shade fading at dawn. She looks at me with an expression I've never seen before in her face. No, it's not your fault.
ここに久しぶりに来て、私カイトの辛さ初めて分かった。思い出したくもないこといつまでも思い出せちゃうのってきっと辛いよね。もしかしたら忘れていってしまう方が本人にとっては楽なのかも。
Never before has Yonagi seemed frailer than in this moment. Like a statue of crystal. Really to collapse at the slightest touch. Ironically, that fragility gives her a solemn, enduring beauty. This is one moment that will stay seared in my mind forever, brighter than all else. Oh, I suddenly realized why Kaito needed to have amnesia with whatever treatment he was doing. Anyway, I'll come back to that.
でもね、今回ちゃんと自分の体のこと調べて分かった以上はこの時のことともちゃんと向き合おうって。覚えていられるうちにこの感情を感じられる物語を書いておこうと思って。だから今私自身のことを書いてるの。いや、父親に向き合ってもらえないまま孤独になった女の子の話。この物語すらいつか忘れ始めた私にとっては鮮やかに映るかもしれない。
I stand there gazing at her turned profile.
答え待たせてごめんね。でも今ならちゃんと答えられる。
Yonagi,
あなたとは一緒になれない。私が私じゃなくなっていくのをあなたにだけは見られたくない。だから
Yonagi.
幸せになってね、カイト。
Hi. I stared at her mouth half open as I searched for the words. I became a researcher and got a middle-sized house like I always wanted. Spacious, quiet, clean. Everything I ever wanted. You can see the pain behind her smile.
カイトが頑張ったからだね。
But it didn't make me happy. It wasn't fulfilling. The food didn't taste like anything. I couldn't sleep. Even walking back to that house. I always wanted. The house that I always wanted felt painful.
どうして？
You know why? Because you weren't there. Neither you nor Izuma. Nothing inside that fridge was good enough. Nothing tasted better than eating the porridge Izuma makes together in our home. I realized I was happy there.
だからね、カイト。
I came here because I finally made up my mind. There's nothing more important to me than our time together. There's no point in living if you're not with me.
私はいつか私じゃなくなっちゃうんだよ。私が私のままいられるならずっとあなたのそばにいるよ。当たり前だよ。それができないから別れるんだよ。そうするしかないんだよ。
Yunagi says before turning her back to me. I can see her shoulders trembling as she stands there. How could I be so blind? Yunagi, she always... Every day, she showed me how precious our life together was for her. Her every action and gesture overflowing with pure love. What was I doing? What else did I need? I take a step closer and reach out to her trembling shoulders. Her scent tickles my nose. I gently wrap her trembling body in my embrace. Whether or not you're still you. Wait, let me. What? I can decide that for myself. I notice her eyes narrowing as she lowers her head. That's for me to decide. Maybe I like this better. Even if you forget about me, for yourself, I'll be there for you. I'll be there until the end.
何も分かってない。何も分かってないよ、カイト。その時私はあなたとどんな時間を過ごしたか知らなくて、あなたがどうして隣にいるのか、あなたが誰だかも分からなくて、そんな私をカイトはきっと私だと思えなくなる。私は知ってるんだよ。私がそうなったから。
Telling you, you're no longer you. I'll stay until the person who comes after about us. I'll keep telling her our stories. How we met, how we lived together, and how we came apart. I'll keep telling that person about it. Just like you'll write out your feelings for them. I'll give them my memories. I'll keep on thinking of you, like I always do. As long as I do that, you'll keep on living in me. You gave me your answer. And this is mine.
そんなことしたって。
Her name, his name is Shiona, right? I never met him, nor even heard his voice, but he was the one who built up the foundation for the algorithm that I installed into Leap-kun.
そうなの？
I'm using what he and Asuma Hakase made together. When Hakase showed me a picture of him, he told me that Shiona's genius made him jealous. When you tell someone about a person, an image of that person grows within them. Even if it's just a pale reflection of them, if you keep on doing it, Your dad can live on in the hearts of others. I catch sight of something in the corner of my eye. Yonagi's breaking into silent tears in my arms. Tell me about the kind of man your father was to you. What was he like? Even if you were to forget, and never will. Not a single thing. I'll remember every precious memory you have, and I'll tell you about them again and again. I'll stay by your side forever.
カイトにはカイトのやるべきことがあるでしょ。この地下の生活からみんなを救うんでしょ。
I nod. And you're one of those people I want to save. But I want to ask for your forgiveness. At some point, I forgot what my real goal was. I didn't become a researcher to abandon you. I never wanted to make you sad. I still remember how you looked when you left the house in the middle side. Her breathing is slow and faint. Even now I can feel it. I never want to make you miserable like that again. This time away from you made me realize the most important thing in my life, the one thing I truly want from the bottom of my heart. I finally know what it is. But please, don't cry anymore. I want you to smile. Even more, so we know your time is limited. I want to treasure our time together. Make it the best time of our lives.
でもカイト一人にだけそんな辛い思いさせられない。させたくないよ。
It will be over one day. I don't care if you forget about it someday. I still want to spend the time we have together. So, please, let's live together again.
私、子供産まないよ。同じ思いさせたくないから。カイトに何も残せない。ただ、カイトの時間を奪うだけだよ。それでも私と一緒にいたい。夫婦になりたい。
You need to leave me. With it's the memories we make together. It's enough for me. A good memory will come in handy for once.
そんなことない。カイトは優しいもん。
I got to make up for being an oblivious idiot for so long somehow.
何それ。
A faint smile breaks across her face. Let's go home. Izuma's waiting for us. You must be lonely. She wanted me to tell you that she's been waiting for you. Let me read your new book. Tell me everything about you. I feel her take a deep breath. Tears continue running down her cheeks in a silent stream. Today, for the first time, I came to know how delicate Yonagi really is.
本当に後悔しない。
No. Not ever. Swear. Let's get married. Let's be together. As husband and wife. Yonagi gives me a small nod.
はい。
Yonagi puts a hand over her mouth, unable to contain the tears flooding down her face. I've come to know a new side of her today, and I've realized something else too. It's my responsibility, and my desire to continue to commit all of her to mine. And remember for the both of us.
ありがとう。カイト。
We walk through the lower side streets holding hands. The place is definitely a tough sell. The air is stagnant, it's humid and dark. You can't get away from the stench of fertilizer, but all I can focus on is the warmth of Yonagi's hand in mine. That makes everything else seem secondary. I suppose my hypothalamus must be slacking off and not processing all sensory information it should be receiving.
カイト、
Yes?
中層に住みたい？
I wonder about that. The experience so far has left me ambivalent to it, I suppose. I'm not sure if that's good or bad, though.
そうなんだね。
It's convenient to live near the institute, but I realize I don't actually mind walking through the cornfields. I'm fine living wherever you want to be.
私はママとの思い出があるからあの家は好きだけど、カイトの邪魔はしたくないな。仕事がはかどるなら中層に移ってもいいよ。移動は楽だったんでしょ？
There's no hurry to make a decision. I'll tell the Hakase I'll be staying in lower side again for a while.
じゃあ中層の家はなくなっちゃうの？
I'll ask about it, but he told me a lot of midsiders have houses in lower side as well. I don't think it really matters where I live. Though I suppose there aren't a lot of midsiders who'd rather live in lower side.
そうなんだね。
We stay silent for a while as we slowly make our way through the cornfield on our way home.
いいのかな？
What do you mean?
こんなに幸せでさ。
She says, looking a bit bashful. We continue walking together for a while before I figure my answer. I think you're asking the wrong question. I turn back to look at her and continue. Why shouldn't we be happy? We need to be happy. It's our duty to make memories we spend together happy and worthwhile. We had to make more happy memories so I can tell them back to you later. Isn't that right? Let's treasure our time together. Even if we fight, and I know we will sometimes, let's talk things over and not dwell on them. We don't have time to be falling out, I should think.
そうだね。ちゃんと伝えないとね。お互いの気持ち。
Yeah. We lasted the silence after that. But it's not that uncomfortable silence. It's full of the certainty that our connection goes beyond words. The realization that there's nothing else to say, at least for now. It's a fulfilling sensation for sure.
カイト、
Yes?
今日抱いてね。
My head snaps back to her. I met with her big eyes upturned to me, and the rosy blush gracing her cheeks. Perhaps we do need to talk about one more thing tonight.
意味わかるでしょ？
Well, looks like this is where I end my upload. All right. I'm not in response.
すれ違ってる時間ないんだもんね。
Yeah, of course.
カイト、伝えないとわかんないかと思って。なんかこの雰囲気だけでつながってるとか考えてそうだし。
Thank goodness. He did.
今日逃したらまた何年も待たされるのかと思って。
And waiting?
当たり前じゃん。
I see. Oh man.
逃げないでね、カイト。私の全部知ってくれるんでしょ？
Right. We keep walking through the chilly fields. Oh wait, she did say she was a virgin, so they never actually did it. Oh, damn! I can see why Yonagi is so frustrated, man. For so long. All right, but then something hits me. Izuma's back home. How can we do anything with her there? Is it okay we just do it in front of her? I mean, it's not like she's actually a person. But I can't imagine having someone stare at us as we make love would be something very conducive to a romantic nude. That's not how it works, right? What do I do now? Maybe I ask Izuma to go out on an errand. It'll be the first time I ask her to do something like that. Will she be okay? I don't want her getting lost. What is it?
手汗がすごいよ、カイト。緊張してる？
Bro, she can watch. It's part of the memory thing. She has to remember. She has to commit that to memory. How could I not be? It's my first time.
大丈夫。私もだよ。
There's something else worrying me though.
考え事してる？
What should we tell Izuma?
なるほど。確かに。
Maybe we should ask her to go outside while we
当たり前でしょ。シュールすぎるよ、出雲に見られながらの初体験。
I mean, you guys could also go to middle side for a little bit, you know. You guys got some privacy there, you know. Yeah, right.
まあ、出雲は気にしないんだろうけどね。
What did you mean by this? What do you mean? What should we do when we get home? You know, the whole thing they do in Japanese novels. What's the whole thing? Furo. Furo is bad. What's Doretomo? What? I forgot the first line. What's dinner in Japanese? Never mind.
新妻かよ。じゃあ、ご飯。
ご飯。
出雲に作ってもらったご飯。まずは一緒に食べよう。久しぶりだし、出雲にもちゃんと謝らなきゃね。私たちのことで随分振り回しちゃったし。
Right. I miss her porridge.
ただいま。
Hello there.
おかえりなさい。
Izuma and Leap-kun come to greet us like nothing happened. Coming home together like this reminds me of the days when we still worked together in the lower side. It's kind of nostalgic.
ごめんね、出雲。長い間一人にして。
You can start making meals for two from now on.
わかりました。すぐに食べますか。
Yonagi and I exchange glances. I notice her happy smile and feel my chest swell with relief.
お腹すいた。
準備します。
Dinner is, of course, porridge. When we finish eating, Izuma clears away the plates and starts washing them. My eyes meet Yonagi's. That's enough to make my face grow hot. I like how they got it on immediately after dinner. She looks at me, smiles fondly. Looking at those soft cheeks, I can't help but wonder how soft the rest of her may be. Good idea, guys. Good idea, bro. Izuma.
何ですか？
Can I ask you to take care of her errand? Can you do it?
お使い。
It's about the house in the middle side. There's some stuff in there I want you to fetch.
わかりました。何ですか？
Like my books and my mobile terminal.
わかりました。中層ですね。目的地のデータと対象物を送っておいてください。
Well, I have a feeling she eventually gets back while they're still in the middle of it. I'll let you guys know. Okay.
行ってきます。
Izuma goes out the door with Leap-kun in tow.
ちょっとかわいそうだったかな。
Yonagi has a slightly troubled smile on her face as she watches the door close behind Izuma. Yeah, I guess. Still, I feel like Izuma feels a lot better when the three of us and Leap-kun are together. Though, we could just be imagining things. I don't want to imagine those things, guys. Or maybe we could. No, I don't want to.
ううん。
You could be the
私も
cameraman.
そう思うよ。カイトがいないとき、私にも寂しそうに見えた。
Really? I straighten my posture on the chair and look at her again. Admittedly, I feel nervous simply thinking about what's about to happen. I try to keep my cool, hoping she doesn't notice.
少し暗くしていい？
Sure. Wait, just in case. Just so you know, guys, we're doing tomorrow we're gonna be doing rewrite and then the continuation of we're gonna be continuing this. Jesus Christ, man. Anyway, let's look at you. I think we still have a few more scenes. I get her up hurriedly and flip the light switch. When I turn back, I find Yonagi standing in front. Oh, you know what? This is where we are. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed watching Hakuchuumu no Aojashin. And I'll see you guys next time. Ciao. When I turn back, I find Yonagi standing in front of me. He comes over to me slowly, directing a meaningful smile my way. Somehow, she reminds me of Olivia right now.
カイト
I'm too stunned to do anything but nod. Her face gets closer and closer. Cups my cheek with one hand.
私幸せだよカイトのおかげで
I'm happy too.
カイトに私をもっと知ってほしい私ももっとカイトを知りたい
I nod again.
ずっと一緒に住んでたのにここまで時間かかったよね
It took them a while. What? Was she expecting him to be fucking horny all the time? What the fuck? Anyway, whatever. Well, I totally understand. Sorry about that.
ずっと待ってたよ知らなかったでしょ
No.
もう待つのやめることにしたよ覚悟できた
When I nod once more, Yonagi cups my other cheek gently. She brings her face closer and our lips meet. I can feel the warm touch of her lips, soft lips on mine. I carefully wrap an arm around her waist and pull her closer. She accepts the gesture, entrusting herself to me. There's no more distance between us. Her scent surrounds me. Each sensation my senses experience comes together in an orchestra of pure bliss. I feel her faint breath brushing against my face. Our lips stay locked for longer than I care to count.
カイト
I see the pure passion burning in her eyes. It's like fire seeping into me, burning me from inside. Yonagi.
これで終わらないよね
I shake my head in response. I don't know if I'll be any good at this though.
カイトならいいよどんなにガサツでも不器用でもいい
Yonagi brings her lips in close my ear.
カイトの思うように私を抱いてみて
She whispers, planting a kiss on my ear before falling back. Then she looks up at me through her lashes, a seductive smile playing across her lips. It's the first time I've ever seen such an expression on her face.
カイト
What the hell? Well, I guess the patch is fucking up, I guess. I don't know. Her eyes were still pretty moist. Her sparkling eyes stare right at me. Yonagi.
これで終わらないよね
I nodded. I'm not sure how I can do it, but...
カイトならいいよ
Wait, did it repeat? What the fuck is going on?
どんなにガサツでも不器用でもいい
Yeah, I guess this is the patch being weird right now. Yonagi brought her lips close. Yeah, I think it repeated.
カイトの思うように私を抱いてみて
Her lips slowly touched my ears, then she leaned back. Yonagi looked at me with a seductive smile. This was the first time I had ever seen this expression on her face. I reached for her blouse. Yeah, I'm guessing that was like yeah, something weird with the patching, I guess. Anyway, I reached for her blouse. I clumsily unbuttoned her blouse, one button at a time. Like this. Yonagi nodded silently, and thus her black underwear came into view. Yonagi. I held her hand as I laid her on the bed.